got fancy watches.
Oh, yeah, but she's already got hers.
Oh, so this is for him.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Okay. You didn't have a hard copy, do you? All right, I'd like to call our meeting to order. This is our regular town council March 5th meeting. If I could have a roll call, please.
Morris?
Yes.
Cole?
Here.
Edwards?
Here.
Here.
Lee?
Here.
Passanello?
Present.
Shannon?
Here.
Okay. We have the honor to have Pastor Mark Brady from Park Valley Church to give our invocation this evening. Maybe you can just also tell us a little bit about how Park Valley's doing, too.
You know, it is always an honor to be
Chris, do you
here.
want to turn on the,
And do I need to be turned on?
turn on?
Yeah, just,
Just press the button.
yeah.
I am so sorry.
And that's okay. We usually already have it on, so no worries.
Voice that carries anyway.
Yeah.
Doesn't help for people at home. Right.
So it wasn't your fault.
Yep. There we go.
Thank you.
It's good to be here. Mayor, it's an honor to be a part of this community and have our church here in this community, and what a blessing it is. And it's kind of ironic, you know, Park Valley Church started 14 years ago, and we started at an asphalt training room at Superior Paving, and think about 4 families, and now we're up to close to 3,500 people on the weekends. And since we've moved from the high school over to our new building in Dominion Valley, God's blessed us with 800 new members. And it's nothing that we could do as pastors. It's totally all God and the incredible people that He's brought to our church that have gifts. And you know, just one thing I want to share. We have something that is a great tool in our community at our church called Celebrate Recovery. Most of you don't know, Dee Dee does know, but I struggled with alcoholism for 32 years. And by the grace of God, Pastor Barry preached a message 12 years ago that saved my marriage, saved my life, saved my relationship with my 2 boys, saved my relationship with my grandchildren. And I give all glory to God and what Park Valley Church has done for me specifically. And to be an ordained pastor after all my shortcomings is just amazing. It's a miracle as it is. So I just want to thank you guys for everything that you do in this community, that we love you. My wife Judy and I love you. We pray for you as a church staff when we get together every Tuesday morning. We come together and we pray for this town, that God gives you guys wisdom, gives you knowledge, you know, gives you discernment in the choices that you all make. And I just want you to know that you're loved and we really, truly care about you. Mayor Leake was reminding me what has taken place since we all met last go-around. And, you know, the tragic shootings that took place down in Florida, that when we go to prayer tonight, that we can remember those families that are trying to make sense of why things happen. As a pastor, I can't answer those questions, but I can love people. And God tells us the 3 greatest things we can do is love Him, love people, and go out and make disciples. That's simple. I'm simple-minded, so I enjoy that part of ministry. And then we're reminded about one of the greatest evangelists that walked on this earth, Billy Graham, Dr. Billy Graham, we just lost. And basically, he poured into people, and he decided that relationships were more important than accomplishments. Pouring into people, just as you folks are pouring in this community. It's the greatest gift that you could give. It's pouring into people's lives. And we always say at Park Valley Church, I know you guys have heard this over and over again, but how do you spell love? It's just T-I-M-E, spending time with people, and investing in people's lives. So let me pray for us. God, we thank you for this country. Lord, we thank you for what you're doing in the state of Virginia, Lord, and we thank you for what you're doing in this incredible community of Haymarket. Lord, you've brought these leaders together to make a difference in this community. So, Lord, I continue to lift them up and protect their families, God. Protect their children, their marriages, their grandchildren, Lord, that you'd have a hand of protection upon them. And, Lord, as they make decisions in this community, Lord, that you would give them discernment, give them the knowledge, give them the passion to make the right choices. And that all comes from you. Lord, I'm thankful for the gifts that each member of our town council has, Lord, that you've brought them here collectively as a body to represent this great town. Lord, it's a blessing to be a pastor in this community. It's a blessing to be a homeowner in this community and just to be able to do life with, everyone in this room. What an honor. So God bless us tonight, Lord. We thank you for those families down in Florida, Lord, that you would just have a hand of protection upon them, Lord. Just hold on tight to them. Put people in their lives to speak truth to them and lift them up and edify them and encourage them. And Lord, for the legacy that Dr. Graham left for us, Lord, that his son would continue that legacy, and the people that he poured into, for all of us, that we could take that legacy and we could run with that. So, Lord, we thank you, and we give you all the praise in your son's name. Amen.
Amen.
We could all remain standing. We have the privilege of also having Kaylee Ciceri, correct? Yes. With Haymarket Baptist Preschool and Kindergarten, Daisy Troop 5925, and she's got the honor to be able to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So, Kaylee, if you'd like to just come on up this way. Willie, we can put your mic down here too if you want to help me talk into it, so everybody can be able to hear you at home.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That's great. Thank you very much. Okay. Yeah. I want to thank everybody for coming out this evening. Our first item on our agenda is our approval of our minutes. This will be February 5th minutes. So I entertain a motion.
Mayor, I approve to approve the minutes from our regular scheduled meeting, February 5th, 2018.
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Edwards. Any discussion on the minutes?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I had a couple of comments that I shared with the clerk, and pending the inclusion of those comments about discussion related to the transitional commercial, I would be okay with the minutes as they are.
Okay. And I just assume they're just,
We'll work together.
okay. All right. With that, let's have a roll call vote, please.
Morris? Yes. Cole?
Abstain.
Edwards? Yes. Lee?
Yes.
Casanella?
Aye.
Shan?
Yes.
Okay. And just for the record, Councilman, any reason for abstention?
I was not here for the meeting.
That's fine. So we'll note that for the record. Thank you. All right. Our next item, if there's no objection, we're going to go ahead and, let's go ahead and go to citizens' time and see if anybody would like to speak to the council. If so, we just ask you for a little housekeeping, to come up to the podium, name and address for the record, and feel free to share your thoughts. Anyone? Okay. All right. Our next item that we're going to switch things around here is our proclamation for American Red Cross Month. We have 7.2 we're going to move right in front of our department reports. And tonight we have Aaron, Steerley, Executive Director for the American Red Cross for Loudoun and Prince William counties. Welcome, sir. Feel free to go up to the podium and tell us a little bit about the Red Cross.
Well, thank you so much, Mayor Leek and Vice Mayor Pasanello, for having me in here today, for inviting me. Town council members, appreciate it, and of course Denise Andrews for the invitation, and of course the residents of the town of Haymarket for having me in here today to commemorate March's Red Cross Month. So, as the mayor said, that my name is Erwin Steerley. I'm the executive director for the American Red Cross here in Prince William County and in Loudoun County. And each year, the President of the United States declares March as Red Cross Month. So this proclamation does a fine job of summarizing the humanitarian work we do, so I will share some of that with you here. Since Clara Barton founded the American Red Cross in 1881, the organization has provided domestic disaster relief, assisted in international disaster relief, and supported the United States military in countless ways. Today, it is a renowned life-saving force. supported by hundreds of thousands of volunteers and responsible for enduring our nation's blood supply, is always safe and at sufficient levels. The American Red Cross also provides training and preparedness programs for Americans in safety-related fields and helps to connect our nation's military service members with their families. During American Red Cross Month, we honor the organization's humanitarian mission, as well as its hardworking staff, dedicated volunteers, and generous supporters whose donations are vital to sustaining the organization's operations. So the American Red Cross plays an indispensable role in our nation's healthcare system, including as the single largest supplier of the blood and blood products of the United States. These blood products are vital for accident and burn victims, patients with conditions that require repeated transfusions, and patients undergoing advanced treatments like heart surgery and cancer therapy. On average, the American Red Cross collects nearly 4.9 million units of blood each year from more than 2.8 million donors. These donations help meet the needs of patients at approximately 2,600 hospitals and transfusion centers across the country. In addition to its healthcare mission, last year the American Red Cross assisted millions of people affected by disasters in the United States and around the world. And this is obviously quite significant what happened this past year. So during a 45-day span, the organization responded to 6 of our nation's largest and most complex disasters of 2017, including, it says here back-to-back, it was back-to-back-to-back hurricanes, the deadliest wildfires in California history, and the mass shooting in Las Vegas, Nevada, and obviously what's happened in Florida over the last 2 weeks. We've been there to provide support to those in need. Globally, the American Red Cross provided aid to 26 countries in the aftermath of multiple natural disasters, including a drought and food crisis in Africa, the floods and migration crisis in Bangladesh, 2 earthquakes that shook Mexico just weeks apart, and floods and landslides in Nepal. The American Red Cross helped nearly 9,400 people search for loved ones separated from their families during these and other international calamities. Since its founding, the American Red Cross has also served as a vital conduit between our great men and women of the military and their families and support networks back home. To help caregivers meet the daily challenge of providing for our wounded, ill, and injured service members and veterans, the Military and Veteran Caregiver Network provides peer support through online resources and community-based groups. And last year alone, through its Hero Care Network, the American Red Cross relayed more than 304,000 urgent messages to more than 79,000 service members and their families. Here, specifically in Haymarket, just this Saturday, there was one incident where we assisted a family of 2 people who were displaced due to a house fire. We provided financial assistance for lodging, food, and clothing, as well as provided a comfort kit containing basic toiletries. And over the last 6 months, we trained 34 people in life-saving CPR skills. So we are a hyper-local, which is what I like to call us, humanitarian organization, right? We serve those in need down the street, nationally by serving those in need across the country, and internationally by serving those in need around the world. The dedicated volunteers of the American Red Cross make tremendous positive contributions to both our nation and the world. Their tireless endeavors truly deserve our unwavering respect, support, and gratitude. And with that, I thank you for helping us recognize March as Red Cross Month here in the town of Haymarket. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Absolutely. So if we'd like, we'd go ahead and like to get off the dais and present him with a proclamation and a little thing. Yep. You can do it from if you don't mind, if we can do it from the down there. Yep.
A proclamation to observe American Red Cross Month. Whereas for more than 135 years, the American Red Cross has stepped into the breach, providing shelter, food, and emotional support to victims of natural disaster, war, conflict, and unexpected hardship. And whereas today the American Red Cross is responsible for over 40% of our nation's blood supply, and whereas the Red Cross teaches life-saving techniques to volunteer citizens and leads the world in international humanitarian aid. And whereas 2016, Red Cross volunteers responded to 180 significant incidents, including wildfires, storms, flooding, Hurricane Matthew, and other emergencies. And whereas nearly 800 emergency shelters served more than 4.1 million meals and snacks and distributed more than 2.1 million relief items. And whereas to perform its vital role, the Red Cross relies on volunteers and the support of the American people. And whereas the Red Cross needs our continued commitment of time, resources, and funds to be successful, now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Town Council of Haymarket, Virginia, does hereby recognize the month of March 2018 as American Red Cross Month and encourage all citizens to observe and support the activities, programs, and ceremonies that bring awareness during the month of March and throughout the year. In witness thereof, this 5th day of March, 2018.
Thank you. Now we're just going to go across the street and we're going to light the museum in red.
Yes, if you're fighting the cold or something already. I'm always fighting the cold. I hear you. This is what happens.
All right, welcome back. Okay, our next item on our agenda is our department reports. First up is Chief Lands. Welcome, Chief. Just so I don't forget, I'd personally like to thank you for, and the officers for refueling that generator nonstop for the last, 3 days or so to keep our traffic light in town going.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I know that that's a duty that you had to constantly watch about every 3-4 hours and refuel it. But
Yes,
thank
sir.
you.
Thank you. All right, so you have the monthly statistics in front of you. Any questions on the stats for the month? Okay. What's passed around now is your monthly update on the calls for service outside the town that you've asked for. It seems to be on par with what we've been doing. Seems to be pretty steady. So I got a bunch of stuff to go over tonight. You see that the top is the meetings with Haymarket and Tyler Elementary. I discussed this last month that we were going to start this. And then we had the Parkland incident in Florida happened after I had stated that we were going to do that. And we had the first meeting. I had the first meeting with both principals of Haymarket and Tyler Elementary, and prior to the shooting. And then after that, we decided we were just going to go ahead and kick that into high gear right away, which is what we've done. So Haymarket Elementary, Tyler Elementary, Pace West, the 4Rs preschool here in town, St. Michael's in town, and Haymarket Baptist preschool in town. We kicked into that this past week. So every day we split off. Usually, it's myself and Jeff, and then whatever off-duty or on-duty officer is. We'll split into the schools throughout the community and just hit it. For the first time we were there, we spent about an hour in each school, and then since then we just do a quick walkthrough, 15-20 minutes. Like last week, I walked into the lunchroom, Haymarket Elementary, and just hung out with all the kids while they were eating lunch, and had a great time with them. And then when one group came in, the other group left, I said hi to everyone and then left. But we've been doing that. Like today, some of the schools were closed because of power issues, so Corey hit some of the preschools that we have, and then he watched the bus loop over at Tyler. So there's lots of things that we can do without being a dedicated school resource officer, but still make a difference. And I can tell you that the parents and the teachers and the principals have really responded to what we're doing and appreciated it. When I posted on Facebook, we had 17,000 hits on it so far, shared 71 times, and had over 100 comments, some of which were, "This means a lot. We love what you're doing. This is wonderful. Thank you for caring about our children. I wish we could have Haymarket PD everywhere." I like that one.
That's pretty good.
So it's been really, really positive. So I think it was timely, and we were thinking about it prior to the event, but it was very timely on what we're doing. So we're going to continue to do that as time and calls permit us to do.
Plus, it probably gives your officers a good awareness of the different hallways, the different entrances.
That's what the hour in the very first initial visit was. We walked with the principal of each school and just hit every room, every nook. And we're going to get with risk management, Prince William County Schools Risk Management, to get the plans for each school. And Corey came over today and met with Emily about getting plans for the preschools that are here in town, so that they're smaller, we can kind of pick those up, but just to have everything here for the officers, and we'll continue to try to do that each week. So, also, 2 weeks ago, I had a meeting with the area chiefs, the small town police departments in Prince William County. We've kind of, about 3 months ago, I started doing a monthly meeting with all the small town chiefs, meaning Dumfries, Occoquan, Quantico, and ourselves. We're all 4 small towns. We have limited resources, but together, Occoquan has stuff that we don't have. We have stuff they don't have, and vice versa for all the departments. So just a good networking group. At the one we did last week, we talked about the RMS system banding together, which we'll talk about later with an amendment. But we band together, we can get a better price if us 4 departments start doing that on a lot of things. So we'll see how that goes. But we discussed that. And I also attended the Virginia Association of Chiefs of Police mid-year conference. 2 of the highlights of that conference was we had a class on officer wellness, how to respond to tragic events that officers go to, how to help them through that, some of the contacts and places that we can send officers to talk through what they've seen, and just work on mental health of each officer. And then we had probably the best class there was the class on civil unrest, which is very timely now as well. They had Richmond was there, Charlottesville was there, talking about the 2 rallies, one that went bad in Charlottesville, and then Richmond's response to that about a month later when they had one, and the difference of what happened, what worked, what didn't work. So also I got with the chief of Richmond, and he is they're having an event that may cause some civil unrest in May, and they're going to allow myself to be embedded in their command center with their command staff to watch what's going on. And then they're going to allow Sergeant Shaver to be on the street with the street supervisors to see how they handle things on the street. So we're just collaborating with them, learning from a big agency on what we can do here. So I think that's going to be real good training for us as well. We attended the business roundtable. Sergeant Shaver did that while I was at the conference. He said he had a good response. He gave his presentation. We had a lot of thanks for the things that we had been doing that they wanted us to do from the last business roundtable, as far as business checks in certain areas where the street lights were out and where they've had crime. So that was it was a real good meeting. And then last week we did the women's self-defense class. Last Wednesday we had 40-ish, probably about 45 women and young girls that you see on the Facebook page, post where I posted that, along with some videos of the girls doing the moves, and they had a great time. We just got the donation from Next Level for $285 for us. We're gonna, every event we do this year, we're gonna put toward the purchase of defibrillators for each of the police vehicles, so that we can respond to anywhere within 5 minutes in the town and try to hook someone up who's having a heart attack. And so they say if you can get on the defibrillator within 5 minutes, then you have a better chance of survival. So that's what we're going to do this year with all the events, when we try to raise money for that. And also, the next day, we had St. Michael's had a public safety day. So myself, Sergeant Shaver, Officer Corey O'Neill were down there with our vehicles, and kids climbed all over the vehicles. Sergeant Shaver gave a safety talk to the classes. We had a great time. So it was a busy month for us, and we're just kicking into spring and summer mode now, where it'll get even busier for us. A couple of highlights I want to talk about is we did a search warrant this past month in Haymarket Station. We had someone who was dealing drugs that was renting one of the units out there. We through Officer Davis's trash pulls and investigations, he was able to get enough for us to get a search warrant. We went over there and secured the house and searched everything. We got drugs and other things that we needed for charges. And the best part about it is that the owners of the house showed up while we were still there, and they said that they had a clause in there that no criminal activity could happen, and they were immediately removed. The next day, they were removed. So that whole case happened over about a month and a half span, and it just highlights what I like to say here is we don't have a lot of crime here, and that's because the PD is very proactive in what we do. And when we do have a crime, we have the time to work on solving the problem. So not only do we just affect this gentleman's bottom line, but we got him removed from our community, and that's what we do. We attack the problem at all different angles so that we can remove the problem. So it was very successful, and I wanted to recognize Officer Davis for that. We also had a pursuit a couple weeks ago. A subject who was wanted was being pulled over for a traffic offense, and then ran. It was 2:30 in the morning, I think. It was light traffic. So we continued until he was stopped by a state trooper on 66. Officer Gregory is the one who kicked it off. He did a great job, arrested the suspect, and everything was fine. He followed protocol. I just wanted to recognize him for following the safety rules and protocol that we have in place to keep the town out of liability. He stated that he would have called it off at any time had certain factors have come into play as far as traffic and road conditions. So he did a great job. And then the last thing is this windstorm that we just had. It seems like Officer Davis is on every time we have something that happens, and he was on again. And he was cutting down trees and marking off power lines and blocking off streets. He steps up every time we have something. We were all on a group text, the officers, of what was going on, sharing pictures of the roof coming off. And Corey, who was in the area, happened to be off but available, and Davis was already over here cutting up and pulling out a tree out of the road in front of the very thing for her. Corey hit me up and said, I'm coming in, I'll help you out, which was timely, and we needed him. So I'd like to recognize those two guys. And then one more last thing. We hired a new part-time officer. I was able to finally find I'm looking for a retired guy who can come in and just give us sporadic coverage when we need it. We held off until we found what we believe is the right guy. His name is William Nugent. He worked with Jake this weekend, and what an introduction he had. He was pulling trees and soaking wet and covered in sawdust. He used his truck to help move one of the street lights that had fallen down and bring it back over to behind Town Hall. He is, I think, 35 years into law enforcement. He retired from Loudoun County, said he wasn't quite done with police work yet. He would like to still be involved. So we feel like he's a good fit for us, and we're a good fit for him. He seems to be doing a great job his first 3 days, and we look forward to him continuing to do a good job for this town. And that's all I have, and unless you guys have any questions.
Any questions from the guys?
I did want to say,
Sure.
I did want to thank VDOT specifically for the traffic light here all the things that we had to do, if we would have had to direct traffic for 3 days, 24 hours a day, we would have had so much officer overtime, and it would have been exhausting for the guys. They came within an hour of it going out and hooked that generator up, and all we had to do was refuel it. What a blessing that was. I want to thank VDOT as a whole for responding. They were running everywhere. I think they said they had 100 or close to 200 lights out that were out everywhere, and they helped us out, and we appreciate it. So anyway.
Councilman Shannon.
I had one question. First of all, had the chance to meet Officer Nugent. What a great addition to your team, to our team. Great addition. So kudos for that hire.
Yes, sir.
The cost of the defibrillators, how much do they cost?
$1,225 a piece.
Do we have any in any of the cars now?
No, we have 2 defibrillators, but right now we keep one in the station, and then an officer can grab the other one if he.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Vice Mayor?
I think we have a future PD liaison in the next council here, sitting to my right.
Yeah.
I think that'd be a great idea. Hey, you guys did a great job. I met Mr. Nugent when I was out there, and that wind was really whipping. So thanks for taking care of all of that stuff. Any thought about reaching out to the high school? What we were
Yeah, I'll do
talking
that
about?
this week. Like I had discussed with you, it wasn't the kids
Right.
on the team that was doing it. It was fans. So I can reach out to the coach, but it wasn't his players.
Right,
But
right.
to meet with the coach and maybe the school resource officer that we could do something like that.
Okay, super. That has to do with the hockey fight, or after,
Yes, sir.
right? McDonald's.
McDonald's.
Yeah, thanks.
Anyone else?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh.
Chief, what's your ETA on getting those schematics from risk management?
We'll make contact with them tomorrow. Corey is handling that.
So sooner than later, though?
Yeah, yes, sir. Probably by the end of the week, if risk management can get it to us.
Okay.
We're on their timeline.
Does Prince William County, do they coordinate any role play in regards to active shooter drills?
They do, and that was one of the things that the officers came to me with after that happened, was to try to get in training with them. I absolutely believe that we would be the first to arrive on any of these incidents close to us, and I also believe first to arrive is first to engage. You don't wait if people are being killed. But we also need to coordinate with Prince William, because when they come, we need to know what they're doing. They need to know what we're doing. So we're going to enter into some kind of training with them soon.
Yeah, well, that was part 2 of that. And then any updates on the grants that you were speaking of? Because
Yeah,
obviously, if we were going into an active shooter situation, 9mm or 45s aren't too great unless we had some long guns.
Correct. The one grant that I was talking about with up to $20,000, it spelled out that you couldn't do firearms. So I put in for civil unrest gear, riot gear for everyone, shields. I put in for 7 AEDs in that as well. We'll see if we get them. Something to protect our officers during an event, and then I tied in the AEDs with a lot of times people have heart events during civil unrest, and we could use that to help them as well. It's a competitive grant. Most of the time your higher crime areas get those grants because they can spell out a need better than we can, but we'll see what happens.
Excellent. No further questions.
Okay. Councilwoman Edwards.
On the lighter side, this is something I've been thinking to ask you. The state of Virginia has moved the inspection stickers on the cars due to all the new cars that have the equipment up there, the cameras and everything. Do you see a need for us to move our town stickers as well once those are, do you think that there need to be in a different?
As far as all the new safety things coming out in vehicles, I wouldn't know where they're at or what.
Yeah.
If the state is doing it, we may want to look at it too. Just
Right.
move it over to the same side. It probably
just-
wouldn't hurt anything.
Okay.
Councilman Morse.
Thank you.
Yes.
Hey, Chief, thank you, and good job over the last month, especially this past week, in keeping us informed what was going on. You already covered it with possible grants for purchasing the AEDs. In dealing with the schools, do they have evacuation plans in place?
Oh, yes.
So each room and everything, they
Yeah,
already
but
have?
most of the time, the schools are a shelter-in-place kind of thing. They're taught to move to the back of the school classroom and shelter there until police officers come and tell them it's clear.
Okay. And we'll talk offline, but there are other options in lieu of rifles.
Okay.
So, but thank you. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, Chief. Appreciate the good work there and the officers as well. Town Planners Report, Miss Emily Lockhart will be giving her a lot of exciting things for the town, right?
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
Good evening. So we had our ARB meeting, kind of some typical applications came through. The demolition application for 6810 Jefferson Street was approved. They went through all the right processes. We kind of set our precedents and made sure we were checking the right boxes. So once they come back with some concept plans, site plans to Planning Commission, and everything gets approved, and they have a building permit for a new construction, then the home can come down. So that's all in our guidelines that we work with. And then some other kind of housekeeping items that people are doing a little spring cleaning on their properties. Some amendments to some applications that we reviewed in the fall. Some fences weren't quite working down at Haymarket Baptist, so they're working on some changes there. There's a little bit of a tight space they need to fit a board-on-board fence in, so we're working with them. And then on Blight Drive, we're working with the HOA to address some concerns on the fence type. They have one for the Villages of Haymarket in the back, Phase 1, and they are requesting a different style. So I'm currently speaking with their HOA manager. We have an upcoming Gateway sign work session before our March meeting on the 21st. And then Planning Commission, we did not have a meeting in February. I have received the site plan amendments for Miss Daisy's parking lot that she will be putting in behind the Winterham building. So Katie currently has those for review, and we're looking at having that done quickly. That's an administrative review. And then couple items with the rezoning since they were approved. I'm working with the county, getting everything updated in their system and ours as well. And then I had some staff projects. I'm working with the Meladon group with the Fairgrounds property. They are looking to get the last of their signatures and submit their special use applications and the rezoning application. I had another VDOT meeting regarding the Transform I-66. That's further down at Sudley where they want to put the flyover ramps. This was really just another design meeting, and is it really necessary? And then I worked a little bit with Denise in setting up an Eagle Scout to do a little project for us, but I'm sure she'll tell you more. And then we've been working on street lights. So
Yep.
good times with that. We lost our manufacturer, so we're having to find someone new, but I think we got someone, hopefully, so that's about all. Are there any questions?
I just had one, obviously have a vested interest. The Meladon Group,
Yes.
they've marked, there's white ribbons around the whole perimeter. That's a clearing it. They do understand they're not doing any clearing. They're not touching that land until permits have been issued, correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Other questions? All right, great. All right, thank you very much. Huh? In our packet, or on page 14, is our town engineer's report, if we have any questions. Otherwise, we'll move on to our next item. Seeing no questions, we'll go ahead and move on to our building engineer's report, which this will be a handout that wasn't in the packet, but on your desk. Sorry. Oh, no, building. building
sorry.
officials report. We'll have the town manager kind of give us some highlights on that as well.
This is the first report that they've generated, and it's fairly straightforward. It just provides the permit number, the address, description of the construction that took place, a permit status, the work class, this is how they identify it and permit it, the issuance date, and then the date it was finalized. It also gives you a square footage of the improvements and gives you an evaluation of the improvements. If you'll note that this is since January 15th, they have logged $378,000 in improvements so far. So this is the kind of stuff that was being dropped through
Right.
the cracks before and wasn't getting reported directly to the county. This is immediate now, and once they do the inspections and file this report, this goes immediately towards the assessed value properties.
How's the communication been?
Communication's been great with us. They've been very, very helpful. We called, Emily's got an excellent rapport with a couple of the staff members down there, and anytime we have an issue, or even if they have a question, they call us. If there's any, we got 2 calls, I think, this month. They had a question on something that came in, and before they would issue anything, they gave us the call, which is good.
Probably more important, how about the citizens? Did anybody come in to complain or that for this, since the last report?
I've not heard any complaints, Emily, have you?
Right, for people applying. Okay, all right. Other questions regarding this report?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay.
One thing that I did not ask about, occupancy certifications. Who is doing those? Or is the town or is that the county?
You can,
Who's going to be handing out? Yes, sir.
Miss Emily, I think.
the county's going to be issuing those as well as part of the review and permitting. Once the permit's finalized, the county will be issuing that.
And will that need to be done every single time any type of work is being facilitated on a property, or?
I think that's a determination they make based on the scope of the work.
Martin, I think, might have some further.
Yeah, Mayor, my understanding, just off the top of my head, is that an occupancy permit is required for a change of use category. So if you're moving from industrial to residential, or, assembly to residential or something of that nature, that's going to require a new occupancy permit. And then, of course, all new construction is going to require an occupancy permit. But I don't think that your additions and that sort of thing, or renovations, are going to necessarily require an occupancy permit.
All right, and I think that's consistent. I similarly checked into that as well today with that information. Okay. All right.
Any other questions?
It for our buildings report. And we're going to go into our town treasurers. Roberta. We're on page 16 of the packet.
Good evening, Council.
Good evening.
This month, I pretty much have I'm happy to report that I was able to get all the VPOL applications out last week. I actually went through the list and actually went through business by every line item to make sure that we weren't sending doubles or businesses that don't exist. That's a list I'm going to share along with Denise and everyone else in the staff for any future needs when it comes to contacting the businesses. On this report, I'd like to actually bring up, point out on line item, the Public Safety Police Department, the capital outlay, machinery, equipment line item. It seems, as of right now, it's actually over budget, but I would like to address that. The reason being, on that line item, there is where we actually input the mobile units for 2 years. At the same time, we were under the, I believe it's under the direction of the then town manager, because that's what we were going to place it until we discuss further what we were going to do, what the council was going to do with the county. We do have a mobile data unit line item, which I'll have a discussion with the auditor, see where they would prefer to see that line item at. If we had not taken in the additional mobile unit invoice, we actually would have been at 29,200. So we would have been under budget, within budget. With that being said, though, I know that it's budget season coming up, and I know that with Chief, we've addressed that 10,000 that was budgeted in prior years, and this budget actually isn't going to cover. As we found out, the county actually is a little bit higher, so we're addressing that in the next budget. One thing this month that, because it's budget season, I've started to talk to all the vendors that we would need as health insurance with the increases and what we're looking at for next year. With that being said, I also met with the Cigarette Tax Board to get a better understanding and to give you a more educated estimate for next year's budget. So that's something we'll be talking about in the work session coming up. I think on the 19th, March 19th. As far as that, I'd like to point out that, you know, for revenues, we are in the fifth. We're actually staying within budget. I think we're at 53%, and expenses we're at 50.4%. So we're trying to stay within that budget. Always being the goal for us.
Okay.
Any questions?
Questions?
Anybody? I have a question. Go.
Okay.
How much did we set aside for snow removal?
It's like 4,000.
We have
4 or 5,000.
We have about 8,000 we set aside last year for the budget. We've only had to use it once, I believe, and it was only for correction. We set aside 7,000. We've only used $220 right now, as of right now.
No, I don't want to put the mouth on it, but.
Yeah, March isn't over.
You already
It's
did.
just March.
Yeah, it's just, yeah.
Okay, so that's good. Thank you.
No? Yes, I do.
I'll wait until,
Just to clarify, this is going to be a question for our business manager, I think.
Okay.
So on the line item under town administration salary and wages, part-time, is that a reflection of our business managers?
Yes.
Okay.
Under the town administration, the part-time is solely the business manager. I believe he will address that as far as what we're going to do.
No, he doesn't have to, but I just wanted to make sure I understood. Okay. Okay, no, that was really it. I just wanted to be sure, because we haven't had a chance to meet
Yeah.
in finance.
I believe the business, Jerry and I have been discussing, we may try to see if we can set up another finance meeting before the work session.
I think that's a great idea.
So that's-
But I'll defer to the chairman.
Yes, to the chairman. So we're working on that. Hopefully by sometime this week, we will send out that invitation, see what day works for you. Any more questions?
okay. Councilman Lee.
Mayor, thank you, Mayor. Does Food Line pay a cigarette tax?
That is a question that I actually had when I discussed it with the deputy. Actually, the deputy and her assistant came to meet with me. They just seemed to inform me that it was just solely sheets that right now we have. That is something that I could look into, because I did have a question as that myself. So I can look into it.
Because I know we had,
Stopped selling. They've been selling in the years past, so not unless something happened that I don't think any of us are aware of.
Only one place stopped, CVS.
correct,
Right,
CVS. I
correct.
know we had CVS and sheets, and then we took a hit when CVS made the corporate decision to stop selling.
Correct.
And now, just thinking about it and with discussions,
So have we, when they do the breakdown, do they ever show Food Lion?
They do not show. It doesn't. It's not broken out that way. It's just more of the city, the town, and that's it. Yeah, they don't
Right.
actually go down to the breakdown of exact stores.
Okay.
So
It's just
how-
a town
Really?
overall.
Maybe you can find that question out. Yeah, yeah.
I think, yeah, I
Yeah.
could probably get it, and I am planning to attend the meeting they're having in March. I actually just got the invitation to see what day would work. They are getting ready to hopefully be able to take in City of Manassas Park in to be part of the group. So that is a question I can ask them then, or I could actually probably email them and see if they can give me that information.
Just for the, I guess, awareness, the cigarette board is sort of this quasi-government, let's say, that they have membership that, for example, the town and other towns join, as it looks like Manassas is now looking to join. So then the actual merchant, say Sheets, for example, takes our 75 cents a pack, collects that, gives it to the board then sends us a check. Is that the kind of, in a nutshell?
Yes, in a nutshell. They, all the towns and counties that are a part of it, we all get disbursements by the percentages that they do of each town.
Right.
Just, I've had some experience with the board in other jurisdictions.
Here.
They also issue the stamps, the tax stamps, and the enforcement, and, I mean, they provide all the operations in terms of checking on complaints, verifying and auditing certain businesses, okay, if that's necessary. So it's kind of a, they provide that service for the majority of the Northern Virginia municipalities that have a cigarette tax.
Yeah,
Okay.
they one thing I learned from them is that Deborah had informed me that they try to stay pretty close to the area here. They don't want to spread themselves too thin, but and also that they are in discussions in the middle of a reworking their ordinance. I believe if I remember correctly, they're even thinking about trying to see grabbing the whole vape items now. So I know that's something in the works, and I probably could find out more on the board meeting that they're having. Once I know that I would be more than happy to pass it on to whoever if they want to join as well. They're more than happy. The more the better to come up, show up.
Yeah, it just seems like that revenues, I think as years have passed, it continually is going down in revenues. But then you're right, maybe the vape sales, if they choose to do that, could offset or slow down
They've
those.
seen a decrease themselves after speaking to them, and like I said, I got a better understanding of what y'all were going to in the work session, and we can talk in the finance meeting about. So we have an idea what to expect for the following year, but with that being said, that's why they're in the middle of rewriting the ordinance to, come up to date with what's going on right now.
So that's a regulatory effort then, from the state perspective. All right. So does that have to pass through the legislature?
They're granted their authority, I guess, by legislature, Martin, maybe. They're under actually Fairfax County, I think, in terms of their employees.
I think Fairfax is their fiscal agent, but it's a separate entity, cooperative arrangement. But yeah, I think if they were going to change what items are taxable, that's going to require state legislative approval.
That's good to know.
Just as a note, the revenues for cigarette tax going down across the boards in a lot of jurisdictions, so it's not unique. I mean, we've lost some of the vendors, but just generally where the vendors have been consistent, the revenues are going down. And I guess it's hopefully because less people are smoking.
Right.
Benefit of being a hill town.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Anything else or further
No?
for
Any
questions?
questions?
Not a
Question?
question, just a comment. I think it's beneficial to have finance committee meeting before regular council meetings. So I just sent you an email on it. Let's try to pursue to have a finance meeting before.
We would like to do that.
Yeah. Because the rest of the council is counting on the finance committee to vet certain things, and it's not doing due process if the rest of the council they're not hearing the comments from the finance committee. So I think it's prudent on our part to make sure that, I know it's budget season and we planned it for the 19th, but even if it's just before the meeting, I think it's important for us to discuss it before the presentation is made.
I believe Jerry and I have been talking about it, and yeah, we will get together probably this week and send out an invitation to see what works
Okay.
to do this.
Yeah.
So.
I'd like to do
Okay.
it before
Yes, before the regular meeting.
before the evening of the meeting, actually.
Yes.
Would be better, I think.
Mhm.
Give us time to
Yep.
take into account the comments of the committee.
Right. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Roberta. Next up, Ms.
Hey, we didn't tell Roberta thanks for even preempting and reaching out to those individuals. I mean, it wasn't a directive from council, but you did it anyway in reaching out to the cigarette people and the different individuals that you reached out to, so good job.
All right, Denise Andrews, our Business and Community Relations Specialist.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Evening, ma'am.
I'd first like to start with some updates. On Tuesday, February 27th, we had our first Town Business Roundtable of the year. It was hosted by Group Therapy Associates here in town, and we had a special guest speaker, Tim Johnson, with the Small Business Development Center in Fairfax, Virginia. Mr. Johnson gave a wonderful presentation, a lot of information. I've had feedback from our business owners, and they were very happy with what was spoken and said at that meeting. And because of that meeting, next month, April 2nd and 3rd, Mark Richards, he is the retail and restaurant specialist with the Small Business Development Center. He will be coming to the town of Haymarket. He will meet with our restaurant and retail merchants here at Town Hall. The time is to be determined on Monday, April 2nd, which is the Monday right after Easter. And then on Tuesday, April 3rd, he will come back and kind of go through each restaurant and retail merchant who participates on the 2nd and let them know how they can improve from their business aspects. So I think it's a great opportunity for our restaurant and retail merchants to get on board and be involved with this. It is a free service. They're coming out for free, so there's no money to be paid by the town or by our restaurants and retail merchants. So you will start seeing on social media as soon as I get the confirmed times for both dates, start putting that out there. I've already started speaking to our restaurants and retail merchants about this program, and they're definitely on board. So kind of doing a grassroots effort on that on my part, going and meeting with the business owners just to make sure they show up, because like I said, it's how can you not participate in something that's free?
Do they have to sign up?
They don't have to sign up, but Tim Johnson and Mark want to make sure we have kind of a confirmed head count, because when they come back on Tuesday, they're going to be visiting all these retail merchants. So we kind of need to know. It's a two-part thing, so if you're participating on Monday, you really need to participate on Tuesday. Let's see. If you've been following us on Instagram and on Facebook, we started a new program called Foodie Fridays. The past 4 weeks, I have visited Annie's Kitchen Table, Giuseppe's Restaurant, Young Child Cafe, and El Vaquero West. And what this is a way to engage with our community, our business owners on social media, letting people who may or may not know about the restaurants we have in town. And so far, the response has been really well. It's been overwhelming, the response. We've had over 1,800 people respond to the Giuseppe's post. We've had over 1,000 respond to the El Vaquero post. So people are liking and sharing, and hopefully more people are coming to the town and visiting our restaurants here. Let's see. Our next Walk a Mile with Mayor and Council will be this Saturday, March 10th at 10 a.m. So we ask that you all come out and participate with the Walk a Mile with the Mayor and Council, and that's part of our HAIL initiative as well.
Any reports on the last one?
We did have attendance, and we did walk, and it started to rain. It was unfortunate, but yeah, we might rethink this. Maybe coffee at a restaurant like McDonald's or Chick-fil-A during the cold season, and as the warm weather comes up.
I think we're taking a turn, though. I think we're turning that corner, and we're headed towards the warm season. So
After
just
this weekend.
Yeah.
Saturday is
I
supposed
think they're
to
calling
be
for. I think. I know.
not
I
so
think
warm
they're.
weather coming in, so
I think there's a possibility of rain on Saturday.
a little more than rain possibility.
But we don't want to distract from the fact that the mayor wants a rest in this half mile or 1 mile walk. Maybe that's what he's promoting.
Okay.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor.
That's right.
Okay. On this Wednesday, March 7th at 3 p.m., the Events Committee will be meeting to discuss the Earth Day celebration. And as our planner and I'm sorry, as our town planner had said earlier, that we have a gentleman who is working towards his Eagle Scout. His name is Alexander Kelly, and he will be coming before the ARB this month and the town council next month in April, prior to Earth Day, to discuss his project. He would like to build a community garden right behind the Harover House, and I'm reaching out to the local preschools here in town to see if they would like to adopt like a section of that garden, and they would be responsible for planting and pulling out weeds and all of that. He also is interested, and I will find out if Alexander actually does this, but he's interested in doing a rain barrel. So collect the water and use it to water the community garden. So that's something that he's working on, and he got his approval. So he'll be moving forward and, like I said, presenting his project to the ARB this month and then to the town council in April.
Great.
Let's see what I have here also. Media coverage and business highlights. Dog's Day Out, I spoke with the owner, the Paynes, and they would just like the council to know to keep their groundbreaking ceremony on the horizon. Hopefully that'll be happening soon. So I'll keep you posted to the date on that. Also, in the March issue of the Heal Cities and Town campaign, the town of Haymarket will be spotlighted in that, and I will send council the article. I should have it by tomorrow morning, and I will forward the article to you.
Thank you. Heels publication.
Heals. And then I had two other things. I wanted to talk about the seasonal banners and flags. In my report, I gave you the exact count, what we have currently as far as our constant banner, which is the Green Museum, and then our seasonal, which is the winter, spring, summer, and fall banners, as well as the U.S. flags. On March 19th, Premier Landscaping will be coming out to take down the winter banners and put up the spring. And I've discussed, I'll have a map of the layout of how they should be intermittent with the green banner versus with the spring banner. And I think Councilman Edwards had mentioned bringing this forward to the council as far as if we should order more. I think the ARB wanted to have some say in what is ordered, if we continue with these banners or go with a different type altogether. They were initially ordered in April of 2012, this current fleet of banners. And so I just need directive from council if we want to move forward or look into other options as far as the banners, because they are expensive, and a lot of companies are going away from the screen printing type of banners, which is what we currently have, and going to a digitalized banner instead.
I think one thing to consider is, and I don't know with the new company for the lights, is that just the globes on the top, or is it?
The globes and the poles, yeah. It's not banners.
No, not banners, but, I mean, the arms and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's available.
We can still do the same setup. And we need to consider the new development that's going and add more and kind of have some extra in backup, right?
Councilman Morse.
But until we get there, there are a few holidays that's coming up when we need to have the American flag up. So right now we're 19 short.
Is that correct, that the 83 poles, actually the ones that have flags are the hardware to take them?
They should have hardware. Out of those 83, there's like 10 that don't. They don't have the hardware.
Okay.
Either they don't have the finials or they don't have the arms.
With the
Assembly.
price sheet, we're also working on getting prices for just the flagpole, just the banner arms, so that we can start getting all of our poles looking
Yeah.
Uniform.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uniform.
So we have immediate need to buy some flags, obviously.
Yeah,
So,
right. The American flag.
yeah, that doesn't need to go through the ARB.
And
The flags.
these 64, they're all usable condition, because when Past Snow and Leak Construction was out last year, putting flags up, some
Is
of
that a
them
company
weren't
in
real.
town?
I'm
Sorry. Is that a company in town? Was it?
Do you want to?
The conflict in interest.
Yeah,
Okay,
let's not
go.
get to the nitty
Go
gritty.
ahead.
We were just out there. But are all these 64 flags good to go, or is it just we went in the went in there and said, okay, we have 64, because I know as Vice Mayor and I were going through, some of them were not in usable condition.
This number has to, I have to go back and redo this number because we just had a holiday and the flags, the U.S. flags were up, and when they brought them down, some of them are not usable. So this is not the correct number.
Okay,
I will get that information to you.
excellent.
But in the meantime, though, could we just give Denise directive that if there's a need for 30 or 40, let's go ahead and get them? I mean,
Maybe
there's
get a couple extra.
there's no need to come back to council if you need the flags.
Well, I just want to make sure we're going to continue with the, you're talking about the flags or you're talking about the
American
banners?
flags.
The American flags, okay.
Because this holiday is coming, whether we like it or not, and we're going to raise the American flag.
Okay.
It's,
We had them up for President's Day, but we didn't have enough for every
poll.
poll. And I thought that we kind of went away from that because once you get to Haymarket Baptist, the poles are really close together and as far as distance, so kind of look like a runway.
But it looks beautiful.
I think it looks good, too.
I don't have a problem with it. I will order enough that everyone will have one.
and that's
But
what
we
I'm
did.
saying. Instead of you coming back to us, you have the directive in saying
Okay.
if it's 30 or 40, Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
go ahead and get the flags. Because May 29th is coming up. That's Memorial Day. That's probably the next time we're going to raise it.
That is correct.
And
Let's have it on hand
we
to.
just need to know where are we pulling the money from? Yeah. Public Works. And, okay, great. Yep.
There was a subcommittee for public works.
Okay.
there.
Denise, if you need help inventorying them, just let me know. I'm happy to come help you.
Okay.
Yeah. Mr.
Because
Mayor,
what I think is okay, it's, and I didn't put them up, but Councilman Leak and Vice Mayor Passanello did. When you put them in the polls, sometimes they
Yeah.
move a little differently and then they're not usable, so.
Yeah, it's almost like we need new poles, a new design for the pole, because it's a two-piece
Yeah.
process.
The
that-
poles are designed, I was told they're designed to give in wind, but our wind here is so torrential that they just don't last.
Okay,
Okay.
all right.
While we're on the subject of the American flag, Jerry, do you get an email when the president orders flags to be put down to half-mast, or?
Not directly.
Okay. How can we streamline that process?
We just direct the town clerk and office manager to sign up for it, and she'll get it and make sure that the police department, since it is a sunrise, sunset, and our staff usually doesn't come in until 8.
Signed up for it.
Yep, so we'll make sure that it happens. I know, I think Jerry and myself actually did this last one for Reverend Graham's funeral on Friday. Yep.
While we're on flags, do we have a schedule? I know we discussed this some time ago. Do we have a schedule as what goes up, what comes down?
Yes, and I believe I forwarded the schedule to all
Yes.
of council.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I just wasn't too sure because there was a season where it went up one weekend and came down 3 days later. And we were paying for it through the company we had before.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah,
think there
that's
was a
been-
couple of holidays that I actually put an asterisk to denote
Yeah.
whether or not you wanted them to go up for those, because realistically, the flags could go up a lot during the year, more than, the 5 or 6 times that we do here.
Okay.
Good.
Further questions?
I have-
Sure, oh, that's right.
I
you
have
had
one more thing.
Yes.
And that is, staff has been talking, we were talking in our own staff meeting about the farmers market and their participation in other events. Just want to give you a little history. In previous years, once the town took back the events, the farmers market participants did not pay any additional fees to participate in the events such as Earth Day, Health and Fitness, Haymarket Day. Their $50 one-time fee for the season was all that they paid. With that being said, moving forward with possibly losing some space in the future as far as limiting how many people participate in the Haymarket Day event, I just wanted to get direction from council whether or not you would want to consider them paying for these events or keeping it as is, where once they pay for the farmers market that they are allowed to participate in other events as well.
We'll go around the dais to see that, and I'd like to add my comments as well. Councilman Edwards, I'll let you start.
Yeah.
We can mix it up.
How many vendors are we talking about?
We currently have anywhere from, I'd say, 8 to 12 participate, but this year I've had farmers market participants from other jurisdictions reach out to me in hopes that they could participate in our farmers market. And I've been working with the business manager, Jerry Shiro, on the definition, because some farmers markets are limited just to produce and meats and that kind of stuff, and some allow any handcrafted items they're allowed to sell in farmers markets. We are not specific, and it's not laid out that way as far as our application process, where we limit what types can participate. It just has to be Virginia grown or pretty much handmade.
I think we first need to define it, because then there will be abuse if we don't define what products they can bring. And I'm fine with charging them.
Okay.
I mean, that's just my opinion. I'm fine with charging them. I mean, there's some use that the extra money that we get from Haymarket Day is going to. So I have no problems with that.
Okay, Councilman Cole?
I would think that if they're regulars for farmer's market, that we should probably not have to charge them. I don't want the irregulars to take advantage. So maybe we have some guidelines is if you're going to be in farmer's market, you pay your $50 seasonal fee, but you're here 80% of the time.
Okay, I'm sorry, did you finish?
Yes.
Okay, Councilwoman Edwards.
Okay, first question, and I'm sure you have the answer to it, but I don't know the answer. Is $50 fee for an entire season, like
It's
pretty?
very cheap.
I was just, so that was my thinking.
Very
that-
inexpensive.
Right, so $50 is really cheap. So if we're going to keep it at $50, then I feel like they should have to pay for the events. But if we're going to come up to, a different standard, and it's, competitive with other farmers markets, then we might have to, I don't know, give them a discount, or, maybe not the same fee as other people, but how many vendors can we hold, and are we going to keep it here, or are we going to move it down to the park, or?
Well, that was going to be my next question,
Okay.
because with Earth Day being at the park, and if the farmer's market is here, the bulk of, the people that are coming into town are going to be at the park. and
Right,
not-
I know it's
Yeah.
Councilman Lee.
Thank you, Mayor. So the seasonal fee is $50.
Correct.
What would be the fee if they were to apply for Haymarket Day?
Well, for the farmer's market, they would be considered like a crafter almost, so it would be $100. But they also have a business license, so any town business can participate in Haymarket Day for $100.
Okay, so I would say you do the delta between the two. So if it's going to be $100 that they would have to pay, but they've already paid $50 for the seasonal fee, then my take on it would be pay the delta between.
Like credit, have a
You
credit
already
towards
have a
the,
$50 credit, and you're paying the other half, whatever the delta is between the two.
okay. All right. Any other comments?
No, sir.
Vice Mayor.
Thank you, sir. I would recommend that you discuss it on Wednesday and come up with some ideas and have the events committee give us a recommendation on the path forward.
Because I have not, the application, the 2018 application for the farmer's market is not on the website until we kind of decide how we want to move forward with this. The farmer's market starts the first Saturday in April, so it actually
So we're
starts.
coming up.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, so I kind of need to make a decision.
Councilman Shannon.
Thank you, Mayor. My concern is, exceptions. I'd like to be uniform across the board when we do this. But I also agree with the Vice Mayor that I think Wednesday we ought to discuss that.
Okay. My thoughts were, I know in past it just seems like Virginia grown, but yet we have, is it possible that some of the farmers are actually coming from like Maryland, or where they actually come in? So,
As far as their application process, I'm not aware of any coming from Maryland, so if they are coming from Maryland, that's not what's on their application.
and you say that all the ones that are on the farmer's market actually have a business license in town?
You have to apply for the business license
Okay, okay.
to participate.
All right. Yeah, I agree, because this is an opportunity that, that service that they're providing. And of course, if they're here all year, obviously $50 would be a great deal if you come X amount of weeks and do the math on that. And then to be able to come to any of these events for free, I'd have a concern about that. And maybe it's a hybrid where you do raise the application and then you credit that towards a event or that they're paying towards, because everybody has an opportunity to make this and have these tens of thousands of people here for Haymarket Day. I'm not sure how that equals, but it sounds like we probably have a consensus to let it go back to events,
Decision
roundtable,
can come out of the events committee?
and let the decision, come back to the council.
The events committee can decide to charge them.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I was going to say, if that's not the case, then we have to wait another.
Yeah, no.
month.
I think
And then it's,
not
Yeah,
necessarily
then it's-
everybody feels. I mean,
they're
everybody
into their
has that
season.
opportunity. I know it's not always convenient, but okay. Sounds like that's a good direction. Then. All right.
Any other questions?
No, just a comment. You've been doing good work.
Thank you.
Okay. Next report, Jerry.
Oh.
Yeah. And
Save
we
the
are
best
on
for last,
page
Tom.
28 of our packet, in case we're following along here.
Yeah, I didn't know the chief was hiring the old guys. I would have transferred over.
Yeah.
Let me just hit a couple highlights. You've got my written report, which kind of breaks out my time with each department. I guess a lot of time since the last meeting and recently has been with Roberta working with the budget. We're trying to come up with a good format and trying to give you a realistic projection on revenues and expenditures. I know that some of the revenues that we observed in the budget, current budget, probably were a little inflated. So we want to make sure that, at least this is my philosophy, that the budget's as accurate as we can predict it, and it's not just budgeted to balance it, in other words. So that's what we're going to try to deliver to you. Maybe not a lot of frills, but straight line, straight, direct information that I think you need to make a decision on. We also met with Sona Bank, and we're still in the process of trying to work out the details. I'm trying to get a resolution from them to have Martin take a look at to make sure that we move some accounts over there. I think we have some existing accounts there, so that shouldn't be as much of a problem as it was with the other one. We have permitting services, been working with Emily and the county in that regard, and communication with the county, and I think that it's working good, as I said before. I did want to mention to you and get some preliminary reaction from council on it. One of the directives that Emily has and that I'm working on with her is some of the blight issues that we have here in town. I think we've got some serious problems with some of the properties here in town. I think if the town were to adopt the Virginia Property Maintenance Code, if we do that, the county would enforce that for us through a memorandum of understanding. Not quite as simple as taking over the building permit applications, but it would be a formal memorandum of understanding where the county would assist us with this. I think the blight ordinance the town has is good. It's a little awkward to work through, but I think that the Virginia Property Maintenance Code would give us the teeth that we need. Some of these properties that are really, in my opinion, are a hazard, and we need that kind of enforcement and the credentials of those people to look at those things and make those determinations that we don't have in-house here, obviously. And so I've began a dialogue with the county. I think there's at least one other municipality here in Prince William that's going through the same thing. And if they agree to proceed, we could proceed through it together. I've talked briefly with Martin about it and some of the requirements that we'd have to meet. So I wanted to see how the council feels about it, and maybe it'd be a good work session discussion as opposed to here this evening. I don't know how much detail you want to get into, but I'm willing to.
Well, let's go back to the basics. So we designed a blight ordinance.
Mm-hmm.
We have that in effect. So by this ordinance, are we able to follow that ordinance and attack some of these problems? In other words, are we in just a process, or whether or not you've I know we dealt with, like, for example, the used cars or that have no tags and they're basically a junkyard in the town. So, we kind of put that off to the side, but these other homes that we know are in this condition, we have a process, so.
The process involves some degree of expertise in terms of making the determination, the condition of the property and the safety of the property. And in order to do that, you have to have a certified person to do those inspections and to reach those determinations for it to be valid. And Martin, you correct me if I'm saying anything wrong here, please.
Right, so basically having the property maintenance code would be another tool in your toolbox to deal with blighted properties. So you have some property code type enforcement ability currently under your code, which allows you to address properties which may be a danger to the public. And that's the process where the manager sends them a notice, and if they don't respond, then the manager comes up with a plan and brings it to council for approval. And you can demolish or repair a building and put a lien on the property for the cost. But the property maintenance code is a companion to the building code and allows property maintenance inspectors to go in and say, this is not up to standards. You've got your shutters coming off. You've got it goes everything from not having screens in your windows up through, having serious health and safety issues like open holes in the floor. So everything that's going to be, and it also covers the interior of buildings, whereas you're typically not dealing with the interior of buildings through other methods of control that you have, such as, under the zoning ordinance and historic district, you're not looking at the interiors of buildings, you're just looking at the exteriors. So property maintenance code gets into a lot of other issues that you don't otherwise cover.
But, go ahead, sir.
So it's easy to find a car that is not licensed or registered and, use our town code in that regard. But with these buildings, to have something else that we can tap into to use it as a resource.
Yeah, and I guess the other thing is, to take the current ordinance, the way I read it, if we were going to go enforce it, we would actually have to do the work, pay for the work, and then put a lien on the property to hopefully recoup our money. In dealing with a property like some of these properties, I don't think you'll ever see your money. I guess you could force the sale of the property eventually, and then I don't even know then. But the town actually has to go in and make the repairs and pay for that. And then if and this is if the owner is fully uncooperative and not working with us.
Right.
That is your real teeth at that point. With the property maintenance code, these things can be handled through fines and fees and those types of things that we don't have the ability to impose for these types of problems. And it seems to me that would be certainly less onerous on our revenues if we have to make some of these improvements ourselves. Some of these buildings, you would almost you'd have to demo them and then hope, and then you have to end up with I'm sure there's often litigation involved in it and that sort of thing. So it's a complicated way of approaching it.
Okay. Councilwoman
I'm sorry.
Edwards.
And I think what we have ran into like this, I was going to say this in my ARB update, but this is a perfect time to discuss it, that with the property on Jefferson Street, it's demolition by neglect. And we're running into that these historic buildings in town, if people just walk away and let them go, then they get what they want. And we made it very clear and put it on the record that demolition by neglect was going to stop in the town of Haymarket. That you just can't walk away from a building for 30 years and then come back and say, I want to knock it down when it has historic relevance. So I think this is an excellent tool because we don't have any structural engineers on staff here and all those things that, that this is going to be a good tool for us to maybe get some of that under control.
So the fines are done locally or through the court system?
Fines are done through the court system. The process, if I might, Mayor, is that we issue a notice of violation to the property owner and the occupant, and says this is what the zoning, what the property maintenance code violation is, similar to a zoning violation process. And then if they don't comply with that, what we can do is take them to court on a misdemeanor charge. We work with, our office works with the City of Manassas staff to do that, but this would be the Prince William County Attorney's Office working with the Prince William County staff to do this. But basically, they have a court date to go to General District Court, and if the court finds that the facts are as they've stated in the petition, then they find the person guilty and set a date for the work to be finished. And so if they don't finish by that time, and when they come back to court, the court can impose additional fees and fines. So it works pretty well with folks that have the means to make those repairs but just aren't doing it. It's a little bit more difficult with people who don't have the means to do it and don't want to sell. So those are the problems you run into.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I have one
Yes.
question. Is there a charge? I mean, I like that. I like the program. Is there a charge to us? Is there any fees that we have to pay the town to participate in this or to have the county do this?
We haven't seen the MOU yet, but we shouldn't, because your county taxpayers already.
Okay. Thank you.
Councilman Cole.
However, does this allow the county to come in and make declarations on property within the town if we give them the authority to enforce the code?
It does.
So they could condemn a property in town that necessarily we don't want them to.
They could.
Yeah, we definitely want to weigh those things out.
Martin, do you know if there's a difference between an occupied property and an unoccupied property as to how they would proceed with this, or?
Yeah, I mean, if everything is going to be dependent on what the exact circumstances are and what the nature of the violation is, it's more difficult to get inside unoccupied structures and see the problems in there. But if you're looking at, typically the problem is visible from the street, and so you can tell what the issues are, and then you address those with the owners if you can.
Okay. Thank you.
Questions?
It's not a question, it's just a disagreement. No, I just tend to disagree with the town manager. I don't think this needs a work session.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to make a comment, though.
Okay.
I'd like or suggest that we see something, whether it's an MOU or some type of a report. It doesn't have to be big, because I like to understand what the benefits, the costs associated with doing this. It seems like there's a lot of latitude in this as well. If I heard Martin correctly, he said something akin to some cosmetic issues all the way out to, and correct me if I'm wrong, all the way out to structural deficits. So we have to be very careful, I think, from a homeowner's perspective. I would be a little concerned about how it's applied. So I'd like to see a little bit more detail before I would respond to the idea, but conceptually, I like anything with more teeth in it.
Go ahead.
Can I do one last follow-up? Is there any way that maybe in the MOU, because we do have a historic overlay in this town, that we could put something in there about historic structures over, 150 years or whatever? I don't know if that's the yes or no. I'm just asking, legally, can we do that?
The state property maintenance code is state code.
Right.
But
I don't.
Martin on some of those.
So for pre-building code buildings, the building official has a lot more discretion.
Okay.
But that's going to be more than 50 years old.
Right,
50 years ago. We probably want to get the MOU from the county and see what they're proposing to do, and maybe even have them come and do a presentation, it sounds like, to council as to what their program is.
But they're not proposing this to us, we're going to them.
No.
We're just looking for another solution to.
Yeah,
way to get these
just
properties
looking for
cleaned up.
a solution to some of these blight issues.
That's why Jerry's the business manager.
Okay.
So can we just forego the work session and just invite them?
Yeah, I'll work, well, I guess what we need to see is an MOU. I'll work with Martin to look at what they have in mind with that, and then, sure, we'll invite them out for a session.
Also,
Depending on what the
maybe-
MOU looks like, and
Right.
see what they're going to want in that.
Because you have to also look to see the conflicts between what they're proposing and the HOAs, because the HOAs do have their own inspections that they do. So,
Yeah. Not that I'm aware, but it seems like, I'm not sure, we're probably really dealing with maybe 5 property owners in town-ish, if less, for the major stuff, none of which are in HOAs. And, yeah, okay. All right.
Now, do you want us to proceed under the blight ordinance that we have now, or?
For those 5 separate property owners, I don't understand what we're waiting on. I mean, really, and maybe, maybe it is part of in the details of, but the roof is missing, it's.
But my question is, are we prepared to go put the roof on it?
Right.
I mean, that's what I'm trying to.
You're talking about self-help,
I'm
and
trying
then
to get-
charge them later.
I'm trying to
So is there a
get to
part
the
of
end
this
I'm
that-
looking at the worst-case scenario, and maybe, yeah, I mean, we've wrote letters to some of them, and we haven't gotten a lot of cooperation in the past, and I'm just wondering.
Right, I wonder if there's not a hybrid of this, that you can start out with the ordinance and then take it to court. Where we're not having to actually do the self-help, but yet, that way we're not pulling it out of a budget line item to go put a roof on, but yet we're taking it to, in front of the
Normally,
judge.
we do it the other way around. We try the property maintenance code violation first, and then if that is not successful, then we look at whether you want to budget the amount necessary to put the repairs in there. Part of that reason for that is that doing the property maintenance code process first will allow you to get more information about whether the building is even salvageable, because you don't want to put a new roof on a building that's going to be torn down.
Right. But there is that risk of properties.
but why should we even venture into, on that route, where we're spending the town's money to invest, whether it be the court or whether it be fixing the property, when we have the possibility of another arm of the local government in Prince William to help us? I mean, personally, I would never support using our money, the town's money, to put a roof on a dilapidated building that the owners may sell, and we're 5th or 6th in line to get reimbursed.
Oh, Mayor, if I could address that, we are actually first in line.
Yeah.
It's on a par with taxes. It gets paid first.
Yeah.
Still coming out of our bottom line.
It
We're still
does.
putting the money up front.
You put the money up front, you get it back with interest later on, but it's
Later on.
later on.
Or you can
that's-
force the sale too, because if you don't
Right,
pay,
after 2 years, you can do that.
you could, so it will only go on the
But
books.
we have information in researching for free, getting them to do presentations to us for free, looking out there to see what they have to offer to us for free. Why don't we pause in the blight ordinance, listen to see what they come forward with, direct Jerry to pause for a month while he does the research, and then take it from there once we have all the information. Personally, I just don't see it as being fiscally responsible in going forward with the next step and then paying the attorneys all of that money to take them to court. No, I'm serious.
I know you are.
So, I mean, we're already paying the attorneys a lot of money.
Do we have any letters out?
So do we,
What do we have out right now, Emily? Anything?
Not anything on at least 3 of the properties that, the big main ones. that
big
you
main
want.
ones, right? So I think we have at least a consensus maybe on what Mr. Morris is saying, is giving the direction for the business manager to have that communication with the county and bring back to the council a report that we could actually look at, decipher, and make a decision on. Is that without objection?
I agree. Especially with what Ms. Edwards said a while ago in building it to make sure that we protect the ARB section of it.
Yeah.
You know, so.
And I guess the devil's going to be in the details, of it.
Right.
So I guess we would need, actually, you'd want to see the MOU as well.
Right, oh, absolutely, yeah.
So that would move in that direction.
Okay.
Yep, see, no work session.
So one quick question, quick. The 5 properties that we're talking about,
Sure.
okay, have they been, of course, they've been notified that their properties are in violation, all of them?
We wrote about a year or so,
Yeah.
whenever, we wrote a fairly extensive letter and tried.
But nothing,
There
crickets.
was
No.
nothing.
Okay.
No.
All right.
I wrote when I was here last time, I wrote the letter, and then
Yes.
I left. I don't know what happened.
I was just
Nothing.
thinking
Yeah.
if we're like processing through something, but if
No.
it won't hurt us in
He just
waiting a
told
month.
you he left.
Okay.
Yep.
He just said it, he left.
I was going to raise this at council member time, so I'm glad we're talking about it now. The property across the street, though, we had some contact with them, right? And there have been some efforts made, but there have been crickets, I guess, from the last 5-6 months or whatever. So there's nothing going on? There's
No.
been no conversation with these folks?
Not
I mean, they have
recently.
been responsive to a certain extent.
They did take care of a number of the worst safety risks.
Right.
So there was like an open well that was covered up. There were a number of things the only thing that's left over there that I recall, and this is just off the top of my head, is that they had some asphalt that they put down without a site plan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And repaired part of the roof on,
But
think,
I thought there was a commitment. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I heard it wrong, but I thought there was a commitment made by them to remove some structures, or no? Or
No.
was it the ARB identified structures for removal and others to stay?
You had the building official that looked at it and
Gave a
gave his recommendation, but it's never been
And no
presented to the
further action on that.
ARB to demolish it. It's never been presented to the ARB.
It's an out-of-state property owner, so
Yep.
he's living in a really nice community on an island off Miami Beach, so he's not paying attention to y'all.
Yeah.
But that's where.
Say
that's-
extradition.
But that's where you see the building official gave a recommendation. With Prince William County, it's not a recommendation.
Yeah.
See the difference?
Yep.
So,
It'll be
and that was the length of our authority, giving a recommendation.
Okay,
Ain't
so
no big guns.
I think bringing this back around, direction, MOU, at least understanding that. And then also maybe identifying these top 5. Yeah. I think we could probably go for that. Okay. Other things?
Yeah, just to mention, property management, public works, we are working with 2 contractors actually trying to get some of these streetlights repaired. The poles, Emily's been doing some research on that. I think we have a vendor. These poles are expensive, I guess you folks know.
Yes.
And I'm not so sure. I need to check too if they are wind rated. Because what happens, a lot of the poles you have to put up now, they should be wind rated. Because the banners actually, that's what brings them down. When you put the banners on them, on those hooks, it's like a sail. It just brings them down. We lost one Saturday, another one Saturday. We lost, a couple of bulbs have been blown off. And I did have, Saturday I had contacted the county emergency services management. They came out, they were doing inventory for possible FEMA reimbursements. I had them come by and meet up with the on-duty police officers, and Chief, thank you, you guys were great to meet up with them and show them what was going on, not only with streetlights, but which they said we couldn't be reimbursed for, but they were also, if you met a certain threshold, there might be an opportunity for some reimbursement on damages to private property, so we showed them, or the police showed them the roof over here that came off, and I haven't heard back from them, but when I talked to them Saturday, they didn't think we were going to meet the threshold.
Good initiative on that, though.
But, yeah, and again, I want to thank the chief. His guys, when that roof started coming off Friday, they were right on the spot, had everything roped off for us, got the street closed down. It could have been a very dangerous situation. Flying everywhere.
Yep.
Oh, some leases. I'm reviewing the leases upstairs. I've issued some notices to bring some of the rents more in line with the other areas. We lost a tenant. We lost excellent technology. I've been showing that space to some potential tenants.
And that just recently, I found out, just went on CoStar, so that is actually, yeah. They had some old information that was in their database.
And then we did finish the work on the museum, the sprinkler systems. We're not going to have to replace the system. It's been repaired, and we're already getting some reimbursement back from the insurance company on that. So it's a question of just flooring, restoration of the ceiling paints and some of the trimming.
Good.
That's all, unless there are any questions.
Okay. Questions?
Chris, you have any?
I'm good.
Vice Mayor.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Relative to the website, I know there's a committee and you guys are discussing it. Did I hear it right the last time there was about a $2,000 to $2,500 need at that time you were discussing?
We want to continue with the company that we're using now. To redesign the site or go to another architecture for the site, yeah, about $2,000 to $2,500.
Right, but you guys will come back with a recommendation on
Yeah,
what to
we're
do.
meeting
Yeah.
Wednesday.
Good. Okay. I think there are a couple things here on the finance side. I remember Chris was asking about some of the contracts and the leases. We're going to review that at the next finance committee.
I have reviewed the contracts. The contracts that, with the engineer, for example, was one of the biggest points of concern that we had. That contract is not billed consistently at that rate. Matter of fact, it's billed on an as-need basis, which what we had anticipated and what we wanted. Actually, I modified that. I don't have Katie out here every week.
Right.
She was actually charging us, the company was charging us, of course, for her to come out here. And unless there was something really here for her, I didn't see the point in it. So I think our last bill for them was like $800. So
Yep,
it's
correct.
saving quite a bit of money. The other contracts that I reviewed, I mean, they seem to be in line with, seem to be consistent, and I don't see any issues with them. As a matter of fact, Martin's probably reviewed most of them. And we don't really have a lot of ongoing contracts out there, just 2 or 3, I think. Something like that. So I have done. I don't see any issues with anything, particularly since we've got it resolved with the engineering firm. Now we may, they may be the party that provides some of the E&S services for us, inspections for us, because the county's not doing that. We still have to do our own erosion and sedimentation control inspections. So we'll have to outsource that.
But that'd be as needed, and
That'd be
we
as
have
needed,
a control over that.
Yeah.
Okay. How do we get reimbursed for that?
They
So-
pay for it.
Right.
Whoever the applicant pays.
Right, we'll be paying that fee.
Yeah, they pay for it.
Okay. Right.
Do we have minutes for the finance committee meeting?
I didn't take any.
And do we have a list of directives? I was just thinking of the other council members just being informed as to the directives that were issued.
That's right, Shelley was there. I'm sorry.
So we good.
I apologize, Shelley. We do have minutes. Shelley was there. I'm sorry.
Maybe you
Yes,
can
we
send
have
those
that.
out, emailed to
Yeah,
the
I'm sure we
to
have
the
access.
council.
I'm sure we have access.
Okay.
We can
All right.
generate those for you.
Thank you.
Other questions for Jerry? All right, thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Actually, you might stick up there just to go over our budget amendments. We're on page 30 of our packet. Maybe you can just give it in a nutshell of
Yeah,
why
there's
we
some,
have some housekeeping.
there's some expenditures that were not budgeted or are not in the current budget, and they meet the threshold to require a budget amendment. They also meet the threshold to hold a meeting, hold a public hearing, and publicly approve the amendment or not approve it. 2 items are, there was one invoice that was paid back in January to Rinker Design, who's of course the consulting group that we've been using for the building design here. And then there was, subsequent to that, a change order that we had, that they had requested to bring the documents to construction documents so we could actually get bids on. Those 2, the first was for $32,544, and the second one is $36,551. So what I'm proposing to do is I'm proposing a budget amendment, taking the money out of our capital improvements projects. We had a revenue source line item in capital improvements of $155,000. 80,000 I think was going to the pedestrian improvements program, and then the remaining 75,000 was going to the Harover master plan, park master plan. I would, since the building, the last direction I had from council is now the priority on this, that's where I would recommend that we transfer that money from that line item to Town Center Master Plan, which would be $72,500, and we're still leaving $2,500 in the park for some benches or some of the things that Denise had said council had wanted to place in there. And then the second line item, I'm going to let the chief explain that one to you. It's for incident-based reporting system that we don't have a line item for, and he can explain his justification for the request on that.
Good evening again.
Yes, sir.
All right, so the way we report crimes to the FBI is through a report management system, an RMS system. Years ago, the feds started mandating that we report crimes to them. If you are a police department, you have to report the crimes. So I say probably 15 years ago or more, the town invested in what's called DAPRO. It's a RMS system. It is old and antiquated, but that's what we use now. We paid like $20,000 for it initial, and then we pay $1,250 a year to keep up maintenance costs for them to update things and to let us know what we need. The problem now is that DAPRO was bought out, and they told everyone that you had 5 years and then the program would be sunsetting. That is next year. So here was my goal. First year, to update the equipment. The second year, this coming year, my budget will focus on officer safety and officer retention. And then I was going to hit you with the big cost of an RMS system next year. What we did is, as the 4 police chiefs of Prince William, is go to an RMS person or dealer as a group and said, what can you do for us? They have come back and said that we can cut you guys, if you go together as a group, and do it prior to March 31st, which is the end of their first quarter, so they're trying to get those numbers in, is they can cut us a $14,000 discount on the program. It's a $40,000 total between the departments, with our end, because we have the most officers, being $26,650. So you figure 15 years in, we're paying just $6,000 more than what we paid before, but things are way, way better now. So if we want to get this discount and go together with everybody, we would need to do it now, and we need to be a budget amendment and would have to be approved by you guys. Doesn't mean we have to do it. We can wait until the July budget, but we're going to lose the discount. So we met with this particular vendor 2 weeks ago. I'm meeting with another vendor on Wednesday. But either way, the costs are going to be relatively the same. Now, the difference here is that our program is sunsetting. We have to do something. It's got to be done. This is also a cloud-based service where our officers can do their reports anywhere, instead of right now it's a server that sits in the back on one location, and they have to be right there, sitting there on that particular computer to do anything. That's very limiting, and it takes officers off the street. It's also very old and antiquated and not very officer friendly, and so it takes them longer to do the reports with this new system, which there's 12 cards that you got to fill out. You have to click on this card if it applies to this crime. And it's just back and forth. Where the new software, you program in the crime, and it only brings up the things you need to fill out for that particular crime. It also is configurable to anything we want particular to the town of Haymarket, where DAPRO is a cookie cutter. Everyone has to use it the same way. And because it is in the cloud and IT based, we can change on the fly. If something changes this month, we want to track, like how many calls happen at the Iceplex. We can add a box where every call to the Iceplex or Sheets or Haymarket Baptist or anywhere is tracked and gives us those numbers. Or outside the town limits. We can have a box that's checked outside the town limits, where you can, every crime that we handle outside the town limits. So, my thing to you is, this has to happen. we can do it now with the rest of the departments and get a little bit of a discount, or we can wait, but it has to happen before November of next year. And this November, we have to make another payment, maintenance payment. So if we do it now, it's going to take, I think it's 3 to 6 month conservative implementation process where they will come here and meet with us and determine what our needs are and build the system for us. This is a 5-year contract we'd be entering into, paid all up front, so that we get the discount.
I think we're going to approach this 2 ways. Let's go first with questions regarding this, and then let's go with a more of a consensus. And if your question is steering, don't steer, let's just get the information before we go with it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A couple questions. First of all, I agree we need to be current, because that system was probably obsolete a year into it with the way things change. Is this information that goes into the NCIC?
Yes.
Okay. Which is very important, especially in today's world. Well, I won't go into that.
It's also information that they track to give us our 599 funds.
Okay. So is this a one-time cost, the $27,000?
It's a one-time cost if we want the discount.
Okay. Would any of the grant funds cover this?
We don't have time for the grant funds right now.
And that's what's, because, okay, that's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
All right, let's go around. Vice Mayor?
I'm generating questions.
Okay. Councilman Lee?
So one-time payment of $27,000. There's no annual fee.
They're all rolled into the one payment.
Okay.
Okay. Councilwoman Edwards?
I'm good.
Councilman Cole?
So 27,000 for 5 years?
Yes, sir.
And we have until the end of March.
We have until whenever you want to do it. If we want the discount, then we need to sign by the end of March.
At the end of March, so that means we'd have to have the public hearing before the end of March.
Right. Continuation meeting. Councilman Morse?
Sir, thank you. So there's no annual fee.
It's rolled into the price.
Is there financing available?
We would have to
Was that
come
a
up.
joke?
We would.
Well,
He said he had to pay up front.
I'm asking.
We would have to come up front with the cost.
So no financing?
The company itself does not finance. No. Okay. We may be able to get a loan on us and pay them all up front and then split it out through my budget throughout the next 5 years. But the company would need to be paid up front.
Do we have a consensus from the other police departments that they are willing to go into this agreement with us?
Yes. I mean, it only benefits them because they're 1 to 2 man departments. Dumfries, being the largest department, did not meet with this RMS dealer, but they're coming on Wednesday to meet with the next one. So their buy-in is cheaper than their maintenance fees right now. So they're definitely in.
Did we get 2 or 3 other quotes?
Yeah, I'm working on that now, but all cloud-based systems are going to be about the same price. But yeah, I'll have my second quote on Wednesday.
So we don't even have a second quote as yet?
No.
Okay. So no, we don't have another quote to compare this with. And what is it that other jurisdictions are using? Are they using the same company? By the way, what's the name of this company?
This company is called Mark 43, the one I met with. I'm meeting with another one called Soma on
Mark 43.
On Wednesday. So the county is using Motorola, which is a much more expensive program, and a lot of the officers don't like it. But they're integrated already with their dispatch center and their radios and everything else, so they're just going with Motorola.
Thank you, sir.
All right, I've got a few questions.
Well, you want to go ahead?
Yeah,
All right.
yeah, you're still right there. First of all, what did you like about this? You mentioned about drop-down, so there's drop-down windows that make it more time efficient?
That we can configure ourselves, so the officer doesn't have to guess on what it is. Each drop-down menu has just what they need instead of 100 other crimes that they have to sift through before they get the ones that they want. Also, it's cloud-based. That's the main thing. The officers can do it in their cars. They can do it while they're waiting on their lunch to be delivered. They can do it at home. Also, when they're in the court, they can pull up a report. If they forgot a report or a defendant showed up that they weren't expecting, they can pull up the report right there in the courtroom. And it's configurable to anything we want. It's not cookie cutter. We can make it just for the town of Haymarket and what our needs are. And the good thing about going in with all the other departments is that we can all share information. The small departments we can all share information and allow others to see who our our officer, the people that are a danger to police officers. We can tag those for each department. So we're working together as a team.
And I assume that we would have a proportionate savings because we're one of the largest ones. So in other words, the way that the discount's applied. So the discount.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we'll get the proportionate
Yes, sir.
savings over the
Yes,
thing.
sir.
Okay. And that you do have, that's right, meeting with another company. I'm done.
Okay. So this system sunsets, you said, our existing system sunsets in November,
November of next year.
November 2019.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let me write that down. And no grant money. So how long have we known about this as being an issue?
We were informed 5 years ago when they were bought
We were
out.
informed 5 years ago that this was going to be
They
an issue.
informed everybody. Yes, sir.
They
So
informed
they were bought out by a company called ID Networks, and they told them, you can use our system, but we'll continue to support Daypro for the next 5 years, and after that, we will not support it anymore.
So this is the first, well, we've been notified 5 years ago, but this is the first time any council has heard this issue.
Could be. I'm not sure what was notified prior to me getting here.
I think some of us knew that the reporting system wasn't very good. It's almost a DOS base, if you all remember that.
It is.
It's a
It won't
DOS
even
base.
expand to the full thing of the computer, the
I mean,
full screen.
I understand,
Mhm.
and I get that there's probably, it's scalable, it probably works a lot better because it's updated and all that. My agita is that if it's been 5 years and we haven't really had a discussion on this issue, for me, I'm a process guy, I'm going to ask you the same questions I asked you about the vehicles, as far as what.
It's been 3 years. We have this year and next year.
For what?
For the total of 5 years.
For the total, so this year.
So
and next year.
this past November would have made 3 years, and then we have till this November and then the next one. So we still have 2 years
So
left.
the drop dead date's November 2019? Okay. All right, so we have another year to do that. So we've got usability of the system we have and more time to really assess what we need and get a better idea of what's out there.
I know what's out there and I know what we need. So that time period is over. As far as what we need, yeah, this is what we need. We need a cloud-based program, and this company and the company I'm meeting with are the top two right now.
So the other towns are all in. Have they got agreement from their councils as well?
As far as I know, they have. Everybody is
But we don't know for
meeting
sure.
with their council members,
But
and
we
we have
don't know
another
for sure.
meeting on Wednesday to find it out for sure.
So we'll find out. So to your point about discounts and what have you, we're the bigger guys of the four.
As long as
And-
Dumfrey doesn't come in. If Dumfries comes in, they'll be the big guys.
And then we should get a proportionate change as well, shouldn't we?
Correct.
All right. Well, I still have a problem with the process. I still have a problem with not vetting this through the Finance Committee and having an opportunity to review it. And I still have a problem with the way the staff report made some decisions. I like the recommendations, but I think we should have vetted that in the Finance Committee. So we can have emergency meetings for certain things. I think this probably would have warranted an emergency meeting, especially if we're talking the end of March.
Again, that is not a date you need to hold yourself to. That's only if we wanted the discount.
So, okay, those are my questions.
That's true, but I think what the Vice Mayor is saying is that there's a reason why we have the Finance Committee. It is to vet these things before it gets to the full council. And to see it here, it's disturbing to see this being propped up on a night where, and I'm not taking anything away from the rest of the council members, it's just that the Finance Committee has a responsibility to vet everything that impacts the budget. So I understand, yes, there's a time restraint on us, and we have to do the due diligence in going through the process. But to me, to get this as a part of the package without even going through the Finance Committee, I have a problem with it. And I understand the whole time restraint, and not to have another code to look at. I really have a problem with this, with not even something else to look at, even from Motorola, that the county is using that everyone doesn't like. So, anyway,
Okay.
that was my question.
Couple of my comments. We all have the opportunity to read our packet and go through it and ask the questions like we all know about. So if we do have specific questions, I suggest from this moment forward, if you have specific questions about the things that are presented in the packet, when the packet's presented out, call the people. As far as, maybe we need to look at it more of a bigger picture of going back to a work session. I'm not sure I'm in a total agreement with just, when we have our finance committee, number one, we hadn't had one in a couple months. But number two, by just having 2 members on the council, we probably would need, I know it's invited to all, and depending on the schedules, we all try to meet for that. But I would really like to see more participation in the Finance Committee with other council members to then get a broader scope than just a, what would it be, a 30% opinion of the way that things should or should not proceed. So that's would be my comments for this.
I think it might be helpful if, like the ARB minutes, the Planning Commission minutes, the other minutes are put out there to everybody. I think it would be helpful if the council members receive the minutes from the Finance Committee so we know the things that they're discussing or being brought, so we can, if we can't come to the meetings, then we can.
Please see. Councilman Cole.
You got to be careful, though. The minutes are not certified until the next month.
Until they vote on
So
it.
you're taking the chance that the minutes you're reading are not voted as accepted.
Okay, so maybe not the minutes, maybe.
Just the bullet points. Directives,
Right.
the directives,
I
because
guess
nothing
minutes
is.
was the wrong.
Yeah, right. But because nothing is voted on, the 30% that you're mentioning, Mr. Mayor, there's no voting that takes place.
Understood, but there's a lot of direction that will go in an opinion that would be formulated to then present as their opinion for a recommendation.
But all the direction that is given at the Finance Committee meeting is so that the rest of the council can be better prepared to make a decision. So the
Correct.
directives that are given at a committee level, it's not to make or to force an opinion.
Right.
It's so that those who are involved in the committee, plus those who attend, can then direct the business manager or Roberto to then prepare information so that the rest of the council, when they're given a packet on a Thursday to come to a Monday meeting, they have more ammunition in making a decision.
I understand your thoughts and concerns there. So maybe we'll add on updates, we'll add things for Finance Committee update, so that way then you could give a more immediate report to the council, which would be the next council meeting.
But I think we addressed it where we asked the clerk to provide the directives after the meeting, and that's ample time for the rest of the council to then take those directives and understand why those directives are asked for. So it's not necessarily waiting 3 weeks later for the chair or someone else to explain the different decisions or directives that are made, but immediately after the meeting, the clerk can send out those bullet points on directives so everyone can be informed.
So did we miss any from our last meeting? Did we miss-
Directives?
Yes.
Yes, we did. There are some here that the vice mayor raised. The contracts were discussed. There were a couple of the directives that we talked about that were discussed. And I think it is beneficial for the rest of the council to know what those decisions were as far as directives. Not voting decisions, but, what we discussed.
Okay. So in looking at this, does anybody else have questions for the chief specifically? Then we can go on the next level.
No, but I was going to ask that the Finance Committee doesn't meet on a regular basis. It's just.
No, we haven't had one in 8 or 9 months, to the best of my knowledge, and we had one,
No,
was
I
it 3
know
weeks
that.
ago?
I know that, but you're not going to meet on the third Wednesday of the month. That.
We used to have a ritualized schedule.
Yeah.
Right.
We got away from that in the previous administration.
And then now we started doing it. We did it less than a month ago.
Well, we're on budget season, so trying to combine the two, I think, is probably prudent for people's
Well, it's
time.
not prudent if there are issues that are being discussed like this that should have been discussed before a regular meeting. Because then,
I will say that sometimes an opportunity presents itself like this, that,
catches you off guard.
No, I didn't have this.
no, that's not what I'm saying, caught off guard, but that an opportunity came up with this company, was presented to chief, you know, and it's a big discount.
Okay, so the question, how do you know this is an opportunity? How do we know this is an opportunity?
Do you want me to answer that?
Yes.
Because that professional right there is telling us.
But
that
how
we
does he
hired
know
him.
this is an opportunity when we don't have
Because
another quote to
he-
go by?
He goes by his other peers that are looking at it as well with that probably, 100 years experience in making a decision.
I don't think that's not being discussed. It's not a matter of the chief going to other people and discussing it. I'm saying, how do we know the other quotation is going to be less than this? Or even if we forego the discount that we're getting, waiting a year would not be better money management.
Well, I think the chief would then negotiate and use one contract over another to look and negotiate the best deal for the town, just like he's done before on the other
But we
other
don't
big
have it.
expenditures.
We don't have another quotation to match it with.
Yeah.
Can I say something here? This is called Doveride, no Proveride. If anybody remembers Gorbachev, trust but verify. We trust the chief.
There's no doubt about
There's
it.
no doubt about it. I think he does a great job. The idea is information and understanding it before you come to a meeting, what it's all about. And even if you had time to make a phone call, everybody should be seeing the same information. That's all I ask for, the report or some information prepared to review and then ask the questions. But I think having a deadline is problematic.
It's only a deadline if you want the.
I get it.
Yeah.
Yes,
that's
I
it.
understand it.
So-
$50,000 is a lot of money.
This
What 14?
that you just got.
Yeah, I didn't have this information prior to the last finance committee meeting.
Yeah, and that's why you're bringing it up now, and that makes sense.
Well, that's why I went to the mayor and the town manager and said, we do have an opportunity if we'd like. And-
Would this qualify for an emergency meeting?
Emergency finance meeting, is that what
No,
you're
an
asking for?
emergency council meeting to
Well,
discuss.
I think the
I'm
attorney
just
can,
asking.
It's going to be a continuation meeting.
yeah.
No, I'm talking prior to
this,
tonight.
yeah.
Would this
When he
have
got-
qualified for an opportunity for all of us just to sit down and talk of it and get all the issues in advance of tonight's meeting so we would be more prepared?
Yes.
Emergency, I would disagree with you.
All right, special meeting, however you want to
scheduled
call it.
special meeting, then it could have been, yeah, yeah.
And that's,
It takes two of us to do that.
Correct.
yeah, and
Four more to call.
and I think everybody's made valid points. The one thing that I would say is, we have a first-class police organization. We got a first-class chief and team, and I agree we need to do what we need to do to support him, to keep them as a first class. But I think the fact that this was just brought up to you just recently, I agree. I think it may be something, whether it would have been a special meeting or whatever, just so we could talk. Because I think we are all under the same, we all have the same feeling that we want to remain first class. That's what we do. So I think whatever it takes to I mean, I'm willing to meet again, whatever we need to do to try to move this forward and make a decision.
Efficiency, too, is probably the biggest thing. Efficiency of the times or the officers that are inputting this information on a daily basis, pretty much?
Yes, sir, and it just puts them on the street faster.
Right.
Can I ask
So-
one more question, Chief?
Yes, sir.
About Dumfries. Is there a sense that they might join into this? Jim is-
So the pay per officer system, which is what this is based on,
It's kind of like the MDC.
gets a little more expensive the bigger you are. So they would have a decision to make of whether they go with a cookie cutter system.
Right.
Because they're so big, versus one that can be personalized.
All right. So if they were to come in, we might expect a lower cost.
That would be up to the company.
Right.
They're willing to give us,
But that's a risk. If we wanted to take it,
Correct.
we could.
correct.
You might know this before the end of March.
I don't know what Dumfries is going to do. They weren't at the last meeting, so I'm not sure.
All right, because, I mean, I'm looking at this, we have to call a public hearing. So
Right.
whether or not
Okay.
we do all three of these or just two of these or whatever, we're going to have to do a public hearing. So we're already scheduling another meeting or a continuation meeting.
Correct.
Tonight. So if you can find out more information by then it'll help us vote, because we're going to have to vote on this after the public hearing.
Correct.
But may I'm sorry.
Sure.
Public hearing has to be advertised
Specific.
7 days prior to the
That's
meeting.
fine.
And the notice has to identify what you're going to amend. So
Okay.
Well, what we're going to vote on, not what we're going to amend.
So,
it has to outline the specific amendments.
Is it an all, or can we vote on part of it and not?
You could, you could still turn.
You could
advertise all of it and only do part of it.
yeah, and I would suggest that we vote on these separately too, so that way the record will
So
properly reflect.
we got a work session, which I guess we can call it the continuation, on March 19th.
Right.
I don't think we can meet the publication.
7 days? 19th?
Yeah.
It's too late to get it in this week, I think.
You have to submit them by 3 p.m. on Monday to get it to run on the Wednesday for the following week. So we would have had to get it in today at 3 p.m. to run March 7th through
I'd rather
March
not rush.
14th.
So we have to
So-
wait
That
till
would be
next
7 days
Monday.
prior to the 19th.
So we're going to have
So-
another meeting then anyway.
Right. Correct.
Well,
So,
we're kind of locked in.
so Shelley, what would be the next time after that?
Or to have a,
Say if we kept it on the Monday schedule, that doesn't conflict with any other
to get the
boards.
public notices out?
Yeah, so if it did go, say you make next publication, which is next Mondays,
Next Monday, that would go out the 14th and the 21st, these public hearing notices.
So when would
So-
the meeting be?
Could be the 20, was it 7 days out?
7.
Probably have to be the 28th.
okay?
That's not pushing it up to the.
I think, well,
And can I just say one more time that this does not have to feel pushed or stress you out. If we don't want the discount, we have 2 years to figure this out before it sunsets. Although, trust me, earlier is better in efficiency because it's 4 to 6 months or 3 to 6 months to do the implementation. If we don't start that before November of this year, then we make that payment plus the additional payment. If we wait till next year, I'm not trying to cause you any stress. I'm only bringing to you what was negotiated as a good deal. If it's too much, we just wait. I'm only bringing you the information that I have.
Is this not a capital improvement? I mean,
Yeah.
coming out of our CIP?
I would
mean,
say
that the
it's-
planning commission would have most likely put together.
I would disagree
software,
with that entirely.
software packages have in years past been capital improvements.
You'd have to convince me on this one.
So what's your case? I just want to hear your side as well.
This is a capability, this is a software package, this would be like, financial package for town staff. I do not see this as capital improvement. I just don't.
An operating expense.
Yes.
Gary, any thoughts?
I don't know that you have the capital improvement budget. I mean, you're talking about classifying as a capital improvement under the capital improvement.
He's talking.
Yeah.
Don't look at me. You're talking about taking this out of the reserve fund.
I'm talking about transfer.
Some
I
of
didn't
it.
see anywhere else to take it other than out of reserves for the police department.
When you,
I didn't have any other revenue line item.
if you advertise this the way that is, the way it's in this package, can we make changes to that package? Based on comments and feedback we get back? Or are we locked into what you're proposing here from the funding sources?
We'll let
I'm required to
Martin.
advertise what you're, on the funding sources.
Right.
Martin?
So, yeah, you could do less than what you advertised.
Or other sources? As long as the numbers match up.
Well, I'm looking
the
at
bottom line.
the text of the statute right now.
Okay.
And the notice has to state the intent to amend and include a brief synopsis. And then you can adopt such amendment at the advertised meeting after first providing a public hearing. It doesn't go into any great detail about what the process is if you want to make a variance to what was advertised. Presumably, you could do less, but if you wanted to have an option of what source, you would want to put that in the ad.
I mean, we'd have to decide where the money's coming from when we voted on it. In fact, the vote should read, to be paid for from this line item. That's where
But the advertisement Mayor, could say, for example, either from the capital fund or from reserve funds.
Or from other funds decided by the board, by the council.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know what those would be, but.
Well, it gives us discretion
Yeah.
to identify the line item that night.
That's kind of, I was hoping we could go back and have that discussion on the finance side if we had time to do it.
We've got
And then we could.
March 19th to do
Right.
that.
Yep. And then we could go forward.
Yeah.
As long as we have that discretion. But if we don't, if we're locked into it, I'd vote no.
Yeah, I don't think we're locked into it. We should just amend our vote tonight to say that, you know, we're going to decide that line item.
So I'm sorry, I was conferring with Roberto. Do you have another source that you'd like to consider?
We don't, but if we can have the flexibility to identify that source the night of the vote.
So the funding source doesn't have to be in the public notice, Martin, is that what you're saying?
I think you want to say that it's, the ideal thing would be the range of options that you're looking at, and so that's why I was asking what else there would be besides reserve funds or
Right,
capital.
if there's only, help us out here, if there's something else
only
that you're,
so many
yeah,
places.
there's only two places you can really take it out of the budget.
Well, the problem for, that might be true, but we haven't had an opportunity to go through it and maybe find, kind of cobble together some kind of a funding source, multiple funding sources, rather than from just one or two. That's my concern. I would have just liked to have been part of a discussion to determine that.
Yep.
Or at least, that's what I thought the Finance Committee was for.
And if I can just add, Mr. Mayor, if you don't mind, I would just like to add, you know, because professionalism and quality and stuff has been thrown out there. Listen, with this old antiquated system, our police department has improved over 2,000%. With this old antiquated system, our quality of work from our officers have improved drastically. With this old antiquated system, the timeliness of the officers, the professionalism, their uniform, everything has been improved. So this is not, I don't want anyone to walk away talking about the professionalism of our police department. That is not being questioned. Because when I asked you, Mr. Mayor, about, listing these things, you said, well, because there's a professional who said it. This is not targeting the professionalism of our police department, which I don't think there's a comparison to our police department in this region. For me, it is the process in getting this the amendment to the budget. There is a process that we need to follow, and we owe it to our constituents to make sure we follow the process. We are being presented with a proposed amendment, a possibly proposed amendment with one quotation, one price quotation. That is on us not doing our due diligence in doing proper research. That is not saying the chief did bad. This has nothing to do with the chief who's bringing us information. It has to do with we don't have enough information on hand to make a proper decision, because we are entrusted by the constituents in our town to make proper decisions, and we don't have it. We don't have the proper, so I don't want us to start mentioning professionalism and the chief, and for anyone to walk away thinking we're targeting. No, our department is one of the best in our area. But we have to still do due diligence with the process, especially when it amounts to $27,000.
Let me know when you're done.
Go
You're
ahead.
done? Apples and oranges. You know, the fact is that we put someone in this professional opinion that made all those changes. We didn't do it on the dais. We hired him. He did it. He has the one that takes credit for everything you just said. That 100%, that 180-degree turnaround, the rebranding of this town, that man did it, with maybe a couple of other ones that helped bringing us to that stage. So we do look at him. What we don't need to be part of is the sausage making. What we do hope is that he is, and it sounds like he already has at least two, maybe not to present to us, and he's not looking to sign a contract on this. He's looking at getting an approval to make his department more efficient. And as you can see, and I would hope, we all have that opportunity to ask these questions prior to coming up on this dais. And that's what, if you ask those questions and was probably able to go over there and see what he does on a day-to-day basis of on this DOS system that is just, you would understand, why aren't we in something different? So for him to present it, no, I didn't judge or mistake his professionalism and or question that, or even to put it as a question that we're questioning that. It's all about process, apples and oranges.
Okay.
Councilman Cole.
Go ahead.
I think we're getting way off track here. I think we're getting way off track. I think this opportunity presented itself to Chief with this meeting. I think he will bring us the information and the other quotes, and I think we will have a fair enough time to ask him questions and make this decision if we want to do it now, if we want to put it off. We're going to have to do it. I'm not saying do it this time. I'm sure he will bring us the information. He's been out of town. There's been a lot going on in town. I don't think anybody was trying to circumvent anybody else. And I think a lot of times, it's not the message that you're trying to put out there, but it's the delivery of the information that's taken wrong. I think everybody needs to dial back. We'll just set the public hearing, and we'll discuss it at the finance and the work session, right?
If there's any member that has not spoken, this will be the opportunity, because obviously some have spoken longer than others. Anyone else that would like to speak? Okay. Anybody else that would like to readdress?
All I'm saying, it's, no one is questioning anybody's professionalism or anything, this is a timing, whatever. We're going to have another public hearing anyway, because this is not the only item, so let's solve it, okay?
Yep.
To the other points, yes, we need to get information out, we're gonna work that. But right now, we're faced with a possible losing of $14,000, and that's really the issue on the table, and whether or not we can get the information we need to vote on this before the end of the month. If we decide tonight that we don't want to put this forward as a budget amendment, we can do that.
Yeah, and that could be according to the vote. So what would we need in the form of a motion that would allow this to obviously be done separately when we do have our public hearing on the other items, and to be able to maybe give flexibility on the sourcing of the funds?
So you would want to amend the sample motion that's on page 31 to add something to the effect that you direct the manager to provide a range of possible funding streams for the PD capital outlay in the advertisement.
All right, when does it have to go out? When does the advertisement have to go out?
It would have to go out.
This coming Monday.
We're going to see if we can get it out earlier, but the 12th.
So
The
Monday
12th.
So it would run the 14th and the 21st, then it's 7 days, and I'm going to double check this from the 21st.
So make it to 28th.
Okay, so we have this week.
No, you only have to advertise it once. It's not a double advertisement.
Oh, so you have more time.
At least 7 days prior to the meeting date.
That's 7 calendar
Once.
days, right?
Correct.
12th and 7, which make
19.
19.
It actually publishes on the 14th and goes live in the paper on the 14th is when all the papers are handed out. So the live date is the 14th of March.
So it has to
So-
be 7 days after that.
7 days.
So now we're at the 21st. Okay.
Okay,
All
so we
right.
have this week to identify a couple of other line items, right? So I'd be willing to direct the staff or to vote to say.
Or can you make
give
that in
us
form of a
3 or
motion?
4 line items in that advertisement. I don't, and that would be good enough for me.
All right, so we're at, go ahead.
Just,
Mark?
I just want to
give you the facts. To pull them out of the line items on the revenue side, pull it out of other line items, we're gonna have to go outside of the police department. If you don't wanna look at transferring it in, because we don't have that kind of money in any of our other line items to transfer, on the revenue side, to transfer it from. So I don't know where we're gonna look, in order to, so I mean, what you're gonna do is you're gonna short that line item, the 27,000. Now, we can make an amendment to adjust that as well, but.
So the recommendation is a capital reserve. Or,
For this money, I don't, with the other one, we had capital money plugged in there.
right.
There's no capital money plugged in for the police department remaining in the budget. So, and as you said, because of some of these other expenditures we had, the police department's capital line items is over already. So, on the revenue side, I don't know where to look. I mean, I'm just being honest with you.
Right.
I mean, Roberto and I will certainly take a look at it tomorrow and see if there isn't something, but I mean, it would have to come out, it's gonna have to come out of the general fund somewhere, and then you're gonna end up not having enough money, you still got a few months up to this fiscal year, so.
Right.
But we'll look at it. Look at it. If
We
there's
have
some options out there,
$7,000 in snow removal.
Yeah.
We have $6,800 in snow. Just saying.
I mean, again, I'm just looking for flexibility, because,
I understand.
because if people are gonna vote no tonight because of the particular line item, that's not serving the decision we have to make.
So Mayor, can I ask Mr. Shriver this question? Would it be appropriate then to have the motion be amended to have you look at the potential funding streams in putting the advertisement so that it's not limited to what's just on page 31?
Yeah, your motion is fine.
Okay.
That's fine. I just want to be candid.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
And we appreciate that.
Right. So we're at the point now, I'll entertain a motion. Someone wants to
So
challenge this plus,
This plus what you just said.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I make a motion.
well,
Oh.
maybe, just before you start, maybe we can have Martin to do in form of a motion, and then you could do
And
it.
then I could say
That's
so much.
moved.
How would that be, Martin?
I know that puts you on the presser, but I think
That's
it makes
fine.
it for this situation.
The form of the motion would be, I move the Haymarket Town Council direct the business manager to provide notice of a public hearing to be held on, what is that date? I'm sorry.
21st.
March 20th.
That's an ARB meeting.
No, we can do it before they are.
It's at
6
6 o'clock.
Does it have to be 7 business days?
No, it's 7 calendar days.
What's the 22nd, then, a day a week?
It's a Thursday.
Okay.
Would it be possible to reschedule the ARB? I would think this would be more important at this point in time.
ARB's known. I mean,
Is there
Okay.
a big issue with that
We have a
Thursday, the
work session.
22nd?
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so let's,
I'll withdraw.
okay.
You say
Right,
that we're
right.
not important?
Let's
Yeah,
say Thursday. Thursday.
He's still in the
22nd?
22nd. Yep,
Okay.
yep,
Yep.
Wednesday.
All right.
All right,
So,
so,
let me try that again. The form of the motion would be, I move the Haymarket Town Council direct the business manager to provide notice of a public hearing to be held on March 22nd for the purpose of considering amendments to the current budget, and I further move that the business manager advertise this public hearing with as many funding sources as he can identify for the PD capital outlay.
So moved.
got a motion on the floor?
Second.
Second by Councilman Leak. Discussion on the motion as it's presented. Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Morse.
Yes.
Cole.
Yes.
Edwards.
Yes.
Leak.
Yes.
Costello.
All right.
Shannon.
Yes.
Right. So, moving along here, updates. Planning Commission didn't have a meeting. Is there any update other than not?
There's no meeting.
Okay. Architectural Review Board.
I'm just going to go down real quick in case anyone has questions. We hit a lot of the bullet points. The Jefferson Street demolition was approved. We had a very lively discussion about demolition by neglect. They will, Ms. Cavazos is going to go with the realtor and the property owner in to take any historic things out of the house that we can have for the museum. They're providing us with documentation, all those things. We gave them ideas where to go to, to the library to find photographic documentation. The Haymarket Baptist fence was a long issue. That's the property over time has had many additions to it that didn't necessarily go through the process. So moving forward, we're trying to get that under control. It was a very lively discussion, but I think in the end, they're going to cooperate, and we'll see if they come back to us. We're working on the gateway signs. We have a work session before our meeting on the 21st at 6 p.m. Emily's been working with her contacts at VDOT to see where the right-of-ways are, so we're really working towards getting the gateway signs updated. Denise talked about the banners. We're working on that. And also Food Lion Shopping Center came forward with the initial presentation. They want a menu sign. So there were a lot of questions going back and forth. The monument sign, the Food Lion monument sign may have to go away, and they basically came for informational purposes. We shared information with them, so they're going to come back to us with that.
Okay.
So,
any questions for the update on that? All right, moving along, switch things around here. We're going to do council member after closed session. So we'll go into closed session. Sure, absolutely. 7 o'clock? No objection?
I do have one thing to report. Did you want to report on DVP? And did you want anything on that?
Well, yeah, let's go ahead. Let's add that in there because, yeah, I spoke to Deborah this afternoon, and I'm not sure what you've.
Well, I mean, just that the bill 1558 passed through the Senate on Friday, 27-13, and that includes the undergrounding, the pilot program that calls for 3.1 miles underground, 2.2 overhead. So we'll see if Dominion takes advantage of that opportunity. But it did pass, and it's part of an omnibus bill, and I wouldn't get into the detail of the rest of that. But so that's, I guess, positive news.
Right. And further add on that, I spoke to Deborah this afternoon, and she mentioned something about that. It actually has gone to a full vote, whatever that was. Not that she expected something to change, and of course that the governor has to sign it, which she doesn't anticipate. She also mentioned that they're actually going to use the town of Haymarket as sort of their pilot on this as it goes forward. So a pilot project, which is kind of exciting. Mr. Guy Gravitt, that was in the audience too, that owns the fairgrounds, also mentioned, yes, that it's going for closing. Right. So it's real exciting that he continues to work with that. And I'm not sure if we mentioned also, well, I don't want to go into council time, so that's probably it for DVP aspect. So why don't we go ahead and go closed session?
So Mayor, the motion, form of the motion would be to enter closed session pursuant to Virginia Code 2.23711A1 for the discussion of assignment, appointment, promotion, performance, demotion, salaries, disciplining, or resignation of specific public officers or appointees or employees of a public body, specifically employees of the town.
So moved.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
You want me in there for that?
Yes,
Yeah,
please.
okay.
Where are we going?
Chief.
Only my phone here.
All right, Shelley, here
Something I can't unhear.
All right, we're going to go ahead and come back out of executive session if the attorneys be so kind to bring us in.
Yes, sir. The form of the motion would be to certify that, to the best of each member's knowledge, only those matters lawfully exempted from the open discussion requirements of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act were considered in the closed session. Only those items that were identified in the motion convening the closed session were heard in that, were discussed in the closed session.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Morris?
Yes.
Cole?
Of course.
Edwards?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Passanello?
Yes.
Shannon?
Definitely.
Okay, all right. So we have our last item is council member time. Now, we do have a continuation meeting, so I'm not sure. Okay.
I'm ready to go.
We want to go ahead and then we'll leave the council member time to go to our next
So we don't
meeting.
adjourn.
Yes.
Right?
Nope, we just actually walk out.
Go.
When's the meeting again?
21st. No,
Yep.
22nd. Sorry.
7 o'clock.
We have a
Meeting is March 22nd.
Yes.
budget work session on the 19th.
Michelle, you got the camera? You got the camera?
What's the 21st?
The
Wednesday?
No, the 22nd.
22nd at
Second
7.
is our continuation meeting. The 19th is the
Budget work session.
Do we still get those notices on Outlook, those invitation
Yes.
things?
Not